Okay, here we are, our Gran Capitan, fight for Naples scenario. So far, Cordoba made a bold strike up here and was successful and defeated the French commander. Hey, I can remember his name. It's Namur. And then ran out of points because the way the system is, I gotta switch back. The scenario is designed, Cordoba's reticence towards attacking is reflected in action points, which sort of makes sense, sort of doesn't. I was able to make an attack Cordoba certainly shouldn't have, and scripting could have prevented that, a different type of scripting, like just disallowing him from attacking during certain parts of the game. But what it meant was, when he succeeded beyond, what he was willing to accept, and had the French just wide open in front of him, he was unwilling to attack after that. Whatever. Okay, that's me not playing. In part, it was me not really getting what the system was trying to tell me, or whatever, not remembering what the scenario effects were and the why of it. But okay, after that, the Spaniards mainly just stayed here while the French consolidated positions up here because the Spaniards didn't have the points to advance, and any kind of forced order is really risky. It can lose your strength points and everything. I probably should have done forced orders. Given what I did, I probably should have continued pushing the attack onward. However, we reached a period where the French consolidated their holdings, the Spaniards basically held in place and didn't do shit. And then Cordoba becomes active again. Albini, who was down here besieging, runs back. The Spanish start moving, but they still don't have enough points. Okay, maybe the points that I used up early on were a mistake, and I needed those extra points because they don't get many, and they have tons of commanders and just not enough points. Also, Cordoba had moved into this general area, and that meant he was tracing supply from Reggio instead of back here, and maybe he could have consolidated his forces better if he was close to a supply source and where some of the troops were landing. If he was close to either supply source, honestly, but instead he was kind of in between the two, somewhere where really all of these commanders couldn't be integrated into his force. Then finally he was able to advance actually using forced orders and whatnot, which does not work very well, and launched an attack. And, well, first of all, I believe it was De Leyva who launched an attack, or was it De Andre? No, yeah, it was De Leyva who launched an attack and got beaten back by this one baronial unit there under La Police now, and under Saluzzo as well, who's one of the two Capitano Generales. I've got them marked with the tiddlywinks just to help me. Okay. Then Cordoba hit the same unit. And unfortunately, I forgot about Cordoba's leadership letter of L. I did take into account his star, but I forgot the L and ended up fighting on affecting terrain instead of non-affecting terrain, which is a column shift over here. He rolled about as badly as you can and got defeated as well by that same single unit. It should not have been possible. In fact, he should have destroyed it. And now we've got Saluzzo. I'm not going to go back and try to fix shit. There's too much to do. And to some extent, I generally write those kind of mistakes off, right? It's a column shift, right? Chances were very high that Cordoba would have succeeded, but they should have been absolute. And Saluzzo ended up in place here, and Cordoba is now here. He's in supply still, tracing through this road, through these road networks, but not a lot of command points, not a tremendously strong amount of forces. And this is one of the problems. He doesn't have enough command points ever to activate his force for attack. Anyway, he paid part of the price there with a previous attack. He's recovered his forces, but can't really do much without another forced activation. If he does a forced activation with the previous attack, that'll be a second, I believe, check on the discipline table, which means he's really unlikely to get in there with all his forces intact and in good shape. So, yeah, he's pretty much tied up. The scenario is coming into, we're in September still, which is okay, but October can have rain, and then November and December and January, and that's the end of the scenario. So I'm going to have to be operating in winter months. I've got less points per turn than I was getting at the best of times, and at the best of times I wasn't getting enough points. I'm getting more than I got at the worst of times at the beginning of the scenario, but yeah, it's not looking at all hopeful. Sure, my blunders at various levels are getting in the way of the Spaniards, but I was already relatively discouraged, having to force orders and the like, to the point where I don't think they have a chance. And then when this defeat happened, it was almost a matter of hilarity when this one baronial troop ended up driving 2 Spanish armies back and then tried to hit it. Hey, that little narrative piece is probably the high point of this scenario for me. What though? Out of two real scenarios, I don't count that first one where there was just an attack on one town. I'm feeling like the aggressor just does not have a chance. In fact, when the French were on the aggressive side of things and advancing, they didn't get much. They got stopped at a siege and just, they were out of cannons because Namur had the cannons to begin with. At this point, Saluzzo does have a couple of cannons, so sieges become more of a possibility, but he doesn't have siege artillery. Namur had siege artillery, and Cordoba has siege artillery. So it's just the restriction on the Spaniards in terms of number of action points has been so severe. Might there be a way that the Spaniards could have accomplished a successful campaign under these game rules? Maybe, but you gotta kind of do everything perfectly and not fuck up the rolls, but also you have to really on a knife's edge essentially in terms of the points you get. Conserve them. This is not at all a situation where they have anything to spare, right? And in fact, the really successful attack on Namur may have put me kind of behind the 8 ball. Now, there might have been a way to get around to recover from that by forcing orders and trying to push forward. Forcing orders might not be a bad idea either. Just in that case, I would have wiped out so much of the French force that I might have been able to take the losses in troops as well as the slowness of, oh, look, your forces are demoralized. The stuff that you have isn't really worth shit anyway, and you're losing shit as well. But certainly for my mindset, attacking in this game feels almost impossible. Can I imagine that someone who completely kind of calculates everything out and optimizes could launch attacks? Yeah, I can. But so far, everything that's happened in terms of offensive actions has been, okay, maybe I can like starve out a little baronial force and get control of the territories it's trying to defend. But when it comes to any kind of enemy force, except for that storming of Namur, of the fortress he was in, everything except for that. Well, no, it wasn't even a storming. I did it with artillery. My siege artillery blew him out of there, which was just a lucky shot, you know. Otherwise, I wouldn't have had the points to continue that. I could have tried to starve him out, but I wouldn't have the points to continue artillery barraging him once I decided to get there, right? That became clear as well. And again, look, if you play, you know, if you study the scenario beforehand and figure out exactly what you want to do, maybe you have a shot with the attacker. If you've played it before, and work out really carefully what you want to do. I mean, there's that aspect of it. You can't just sort of play this. You really have to think very, very heavily about where your points are going to go for the entirety of the scenario, I think, to have any chance of increasing the territory you have against enemy forces. Now, my guess is there's a fair amount of playtesters, etc. The playtesters got so absorbed in the game and in the scenarios that they were testing that they no longer saw this as a problem. Like, there became a book, essentially, of moves to make for each scenario. But yeah, you know, that may have been some attempt to balance or something. Doesn't really, I don't know. It feels like there are enough inhibitions going on in the game that Cordoba could have been given more points to operate, you know? Because even with my success, even if I had been able to bring all these forces to bear, I got a very lucky success early on. If I had been able to get enough points to bring these forces to bear and use them, I still don't think it would have been a guaranteed Spanish victory. It's a lot of effort to move forward on this terrain. Now, I'm not sure that a game should require you to play perfectly against an imperfect opponent, and the French certainly weren't playing perfectly, in order to win a game. That feels wrong. You know. Again, the French have an easier job in this scenario, and in the prior scenario, again, they were on the defensive. They had an easier job in general in the scenario, but it just doesn't feel like it's at all comparable what kind of effort the Spaniards would have to put in to win. Compared to, even if the Spaniards put all that effort in, I think the French could play relatively well without anywhere near that kind of effort. Well, here it is, Monday. I don't know, I guess around noon. I think things are getting more and more confusing in my life. Like, all my clocks tell very different times now. I don't know what happened, but I bumped... So the one on the microwave changes every time I stop them, or many times when I stop the microwave, I accidentally hit the clock. So that ends up drifting in one direction or another. And the one on my stove, I think, is what I intended, which means it's about close to daylight savings time. The one next to my bed was... But I don't know what happened. At some point or another, I ended up bumping it. I reset it so that it was on the on the standard time, which is not what I wanted, but it's what ended up happening. But then I seem to have bumped it again, right afterwards, or there's something wrong with it or whatever. Anyhow, you can see it's not raining or anything right now. I can't bring myself to go shopping. It's like, I don't know, it's cold and gray. Tomorrow should be cold and sunny. I don't know if I can convince myself there. I might be able to go out and try cutting wood or something today. I don't know. My sleep schedule is also more fucked up than usual. Like, I've been sleeping during the day. Okay, that's not abnormal for me, and I've been having trouble getting out of that. And I ended up, I'm trying to get out of it in order to go shopping and do stuff. And I ended up sleeping in little 2-hour naps again and again, which is part of why I wasn't here at all on Sunday. Okay, so here we are in, what is it, second turn of September. It can still be hot. It is not. We go down to fair weather, and this is not a special turn in any way, shape, or form. It feels like I've been away for a while, skipping a day, very similar to, having gone out dancing, but I didn't this week, and I feel, I don't know. The same kind of sort of lethargic, it's too cold, I want to lie in bed, or the one good thing is I'm not doing events in Raid right now. Like, I've decided, screw it, I'm not going to do the ones that are ongoing. I finished up what I'm doing now. I still have to play a fair amount, but it will free me up to do other things and not be a slave to the game quite as much. For the game, let's consider the orders. I'm going to look at the French, then I'm going to look at the Spaniards, but for the French, Salyuso. He's up here. This is a weird situation. If Cordoba wasn't there, I'd want to push down to this river line then and try to defend there in the mountains, la. But I'm afraid of Cordoba, right? I don't know that he didn't recover. Again, I know he's his points, but he could always force and hit me or whatever. I'm not really thrilled with the position that I'm in, but it blocks the road here, and if I move forward, I'll be cut off. So I may drop down to garrison or stand orders with him, which I can do for free because he's a Capitano General. Might be able to do it with anyone. I have to peek at. See, this is another thing. The orders table is complex enough that it just doesn't stick in my head, right? So I have to look. Stand orders changing to it costs you 0. No matter what you're changing from, like from a retreat or whatever. But and I still thought there was somewhere where, like, when you retreated, you got a retreat order. But I can't find anything that says that. So it may just be an artifact of my poor brain. And here's the other thing. Albini, there's some possible advantages to attacking Cordoba, but I don't think I want to. And I can't continue down this way. If Cordoba had pressed down further, I would. But now I think I'm just going to fall back and waste the points that I spent on him. Let's look at the Spaniards. Obviously, I'm not going to change units orders because I have few enough points. Cordoba, he did recover. However, I don't see I don't see him activating. Much as, hey, I said Salyuso's worried about that. Yeah, but Cordoba's not interested in doing it. I don't know where Prospero is. I don't know what happened to him. He's got a garrison order. He's got to be somewhere. I thought, is he back here? Yeah, he's back there. Okay, I had covered him up. Yeah, he's not going to launch his attack, of course. But De Leyva and Benavides both have activities to move. And we're trying to bring them into play up to Cordoba so that we have enough force to break the French. Now, again, I did some oopses, which again hurt the attacker and probably put the game out of reach of him. It may have been minimally within reach using forced orders and all that again and again for Cordoba to push on and like take Naples. And now it's beginning to look less and less likely, but we shall see. From the baronials, these guys dug in. I don't know. That helps them if they want to go into quarters, but they're not going to go into quarters that close to the enemy. I don't know if they're allowed to even. And one moved here under Benavides. He's not going to be collected by Benavides. Well, unless Benavides can't move. He just got kind of stuck in place. I'm getting rid of these quarters markers because it's okay weather, so they're not actually in them. Although somebody like DeAndre there, he's far enough away, I'm just going to leave it there. But technically, does he need it? Yeah, he actually needs it because he's in enemy territory. He's in enemy territory too, but he doesn't need it because he's small. I'm not sure. He's small too. He's very, very small. All right, I'll get rid of them. I'll just place them there as reminders. Again, they can be placed without having to expend movement points or anything. At the beginning, somewhere up here, you're allowed to do it. It's not actually in here. It's in the winter quarters rules, and I'm not going to go look it up again to make sure that I remember it right, even though my brain is slowly degenerating, or rapidly degenerating, perhaps, because it's fast enough I notice it. So on to the commanders, I guess. I constantly have this kind of puzzlement in my head, whether it makes sense. Like, do I just trigger Albini first? Let's say Cordoba's moving. Well, then I'm at a penalty against Cordoba, but I might catch him out, or he might move ahead of me if he knows he's just competing with one of my garrison units. So I think it's worth rolling for the garrisons, but it's really hard to tell. And then if I'm doing a garrison action with him, well, I probably want to pick a garrison action, like I don't know, but I don't have Cordoba available, who I like to shield everybody with, which means, you know, I might be rolling against somebody who's as good as me. The French have to select theirs first. So if they select Allegre, say, I know that they're doing a unit that's in garrison. I'm not so sure with Saluzzo or Albini. In fact, Saluzzo I know moved, so I'm going to assume he's going to move. It is done sequentially. It's not like we each secretly pick one. The first player of the scenario is the French, so they always have to pick first, but after that, the guy who just moved has to pick the next one, or pass. So yeah, I mean, I pick Allegre, and he's like, well, I don't want to run up against a possible bad effect. The worst that I can do to it is kind of just make it go. The thing is, if I do pick to go against it, let's say he's already picked Allegre. I know that that's a garrison unit. Let's say I pick Benavides, who's up here. I may have actually a better chance. So that's what I'm going to do. Let's take a look. So Benavides has a 2 initiative. He ends up with a -1, whereas Allegre ends up with something quite large. A 3 is not a bad die roll. I might want to take it. Alternatively, I might want to force Allegre to go. But I think I'll take that 3. Allows me to move 4 movement points. I've got 8. I got to look up road movement. This is the thing I think I'm not allowed to do close to anyone. And I don't remember how close. Can't go within 2 of the enemy without getting rid of the road march. and I could disband. I could get rid of the road march right away. But that would give me 8 movement points. 2 would be to here. 1, 2, 3 gets me to there. And that's about as far as I can go anyway. So I'll go there, get rid of the road march either way. And I could pick this sucker up, and that will allow that guy later to move in and take the fortification location, I guess. This guy should be dug in so he can, like, be in garrison. All right, anyway, I'll continue. I just wanted to highlight, you know, the choices there, because it's just not clear to me. Like, it's not clear to me, did I want to take this die roll, or did I want to bone his leader with a 0 initiative, who I'm pretty sure has a 0 initiative. Now, I'm going first. I'm going to pick Paredes, who everybody knows isn't going anywhere. And that means, do they want to pick to try to just overcome the, you know, to try to just ignore the existence of that? Well, I'm going to take Albini because I have so few leaders that I'm going to get swamped anyway. And I might as well go straight off. So I get a 0 with him. Paredes could do something, but a 0 is pretty good. And I'm going to... Oh, shit. I don't have room for him. And he didn't move. And I don't think he displaces in the first joint consolidation. Actually, it doesn't say particularly. Down on this one, excess forces are displaced 1 hex. On this one, it doesn't say that. I gotta swap batteries. I'm gonna go look for that, though. Difference between the two is, the first one, you kind of fucked up and moved into an area where there's not room for you. And so it would kind of make sense that somebody would die. The second one is after combat, in which case all battles are resolved and then excess forces maybe bop out. So I could see it being done that way. I don't like it. I'm looking... I don't even know where the sequence of play is. I assume it's the real early. Here it is. Yeah. Both players now consolidate on the map so that one... See, now it says, as their Capitani in the same hex as the Capitano General are removed and placed on that. But it doesn't say that they get destroyed here. It gives me paragraphs for uncontested hexes, and maybe that's the one. 8.8 contested hexes. You wouldn't think that that's where they would handle it. And it doesn't look like it is, looking over all the text. I really don't know where consolidation would be handled. Now, if I look at force, multi-force hex, during the command phase, they may be removed, blah, blah, blah. During the command phase, they can be broken out. Creation of a force. There's nothing about how to deal with this. Now, I had thought they got destroyed, but again, it's something that, like, maybe I just imagine it. I think it's just not possible. More than one friendly force may end their movement in the same hex under the following circumstances. If they're moved for combining them, if they're moved into a hex containing enemy forces, in which case, if you end up in an overstacked position, somebody leaves. During command, you can split stuff off. You can split stuff off in another way. And baronials are allowed to move into a space with a friendly Capitano who has not yet depleted his command capacity. Which is weird. Like, I wouldn't have actually been able to move that unit under him. I think, if I'm reading this right. So there's kind of a, wow, I'm just kind of fucked here. I don't remember. Oh, I was looking at Albini. Yeah, so he's got 5 movement points. He can't move back to the location he wants to. That's the place he wants to go so he doesn't have to fucking spend points to be somewhere. And I have no way to displace that unit and everything. And I just feel like, wow, everything's fucked up because of that. You know, because I forgot to move him. But on the other hand, if I moved him, I'm telegraphing what I'm doing and everything, even though he's kind of behind the lines and I shouldn't be able to see what's going on there. And it's really pissing me off. And now I'm going to have to spend a command point for Albini because I think he's just going to fall back to here. Actually, the way this is worded is worse than that, isn't it? Fuck. Because creation of 4-star movement. Okay, because it actually says, oh no, it says end their movement. Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm, my worry was I can't even move through my own units, which I know that there's stuff that says I can do that, essentially. Yeah, so I think I'm stuck here in the mountains because there's a dude there and I don't have room for him. And, you know what? I do have room. I get rid of this unit. It's questionable whether he was doing me any good anyway. And we go back here and we'll consolidate that way. But I'm not thrilled about it. Like, I don't like having to give up a combat unit, but what the hell? I actually had 6 movement points. All right. So if Albini went, the French can pass after that, and I can take care of whatever the Spaniards want to do, which is 1 more moving unit and then a couple of recovery units. Actually, only 1 recovery unit. Benavides was moving because he forced his order. DeAndre didn't get anywhere. Cordoba had nothing to recover, but I don't want to force orders because I think that would make me make 2 discipline checks. De Leyva got here. He didn't have enough movement points to cross the river, but he did have enough to dig in. And then we've got a couple of consolidation, well, 1 consolidation to do. What's this? Benavides takes this in, and Albini takes this in. Yeah, for attrition, I only have to worry about big guys, which he is big, but he's in friendly territory, and there's no problem. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. He's in friendly territory, though. That's fine. The Spaniards are not necessarily in friendly territory, but I don't have any big forces other than Cordoba's. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 13, as he continually, like, dissolves here. Rolls a 5, that gets him down to a 4. He survives it. And that, oh, son of a bitch. Okay, Gonzaga is starting up in Rome, so I'll just jump him into the situation. Let's see. Somehow I just can't remember to check there. That's September 2. He starts in Rome with a road march. Okay. He makes it down this far. He's got a fair-sized force. Doesn't have to check attrition again. He's in friendly territory. But that's a fair-sized force coming up into play to join Saluzzo. And that's going to put us into October, which is sheep turn. French are going to get lots and lots of points. Spaniards are going to get at most 2. And basically probably not be able to do anything. The one thing I am able to do, though, Cordoba will have enough points to launch an attack. He'll be able to hit Saluzzo and maybe break things open. But, you know, remember, this should have been broken open earlier. There was no way Cordoba could have lost that battle. But we will get a major battle out of this. I swear we will. Yeah, and I don't have the energy to keep going. You know, again, it's like the Vietnam game. Every time I'm just struggling and I'm grinding my gears so hard on this thing and just not liking, you know, the experience that I'm having, and it keeps driving me away. For a while I was enjoying it, but I think I was playing shit wrong all over the place. And I just find myself constantly either finding something that I'm doing wrong in the rules, and that dissuades me, or, you know, finding myself looking up rules constantly because I'm just so uncertain. They're just not sticking. Yeah. And to be honest, I feel the same goddamn way about most of the Zucker operational games when I play them. The only one that ever really stuck with me is the Napoleon at Bay. I played 1809, and that felt pretty comfortable. But it also didn't feel like anything was happening. You know, I think that's the big difference in that one, is that, like, Napoleon at Bay, or in that series, Napoleon at Bay, I feel like I understand what the situation is, and like the fight makes sense to me. And the fights in most of them don't make a lot of sense to me, and the fight in this doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Like, I walk up to a fortress and I start sieging it, and I lose more troops than the defender does. You know, just no matter what I'm doing, if I storm it, I'm going to lose more troops, probably, if I'm facing any kind of defense, right? When I fire my artillery, the artillery might break. If I try to lay down a siege and starve them out, I'm more likely to lose units than they are. So it's like across the board, it just feels like there's no way forward. And everything favors the defense so much in so many ways. And even when you have a godlike commander like Cordoba, they build something into the rules to prevent you from using them. Here in October, fair weather, the French got their sheep. They got a bad roll for their administrative points, but with 4 additional points from the sheep, they got like 6. The Spanish got their full 2, which means I can try to do something. And yeah, it feels pretty pathetic. I check, no reinforcements yet. Now where does Alvino come in? Because he's a Spanish leader. He comes with the Capitano Generale, which means I will immediately get these additional forces next turn. I wish it was this turn, because I'm going to do an attack this turn and hit this, and we're going to have a major battle. Whoop, whoop, whoop. But yeah, it's kind of funny. It's earlier than I thought. Looking a little nicer. You know, it always looks worse in the morning here, but I'm trying to fight today to get my sleep schedule into a situation where, you know, I can get up during the day tomorrow like I did today, but I haven't had enough sleep yet today, so I'm hoping like I sleep mostly in the night and for more than a couple hours at a time. So let me explain the orders I did. First of all, the French have a shit ton of orders. Um, the only thing I spent anything on is Gonzaga here, who got an attack order. He no longer has road march. I had one on his card as well. He's going to try to get Paredes out of there. Why? I don't know. You know, mainly because I've got a long way to walk to get to Salyuzo. Everybody else is either stand or hold orders. Salyuzo had to spend a point for a stand order because I'm not in a real location. But I've got infinite points with them. I'm also going to attempt to use this to cut the Spanish supplies. Is that a big deal? Probably not. The Spanish will get no more points for the rest of the game. They've used all their points. Cordoba is going to have to force to try to get Naples or anything like that. De Leyva, because I spent a point on Cordoba to attack, and I spent a point on De Leyva to attack to come in as well. Cordoba is able to consolidate his forces because of his L ability before an attack happens, which means he can coordinate that attack. Yeah, it's an extra point I shouldn't have spent, especially given that I'm going to have to try to force Moncada to do anything. But honestly, my supplies don't matter anymore. I've used all my action points. Unless something weird happens, this is all that I can pay for with the Spaniards. Other stuff, look, the rest of this had to recover. De Andrade, Benavides. So they're not really able to do anything much. And, you know, there's reasons I might want to try to take Basilicata, but it's hard for me to take because there's so many points up here, 2, 4, 5. That's enough to control it. I would have to get one of those locations, and my goal is to get to Naples. Really, if I can get to Naples, as far as I'm concerned, I've won, at least a personal victory over the system. It probably isn't enough to win the game because I think the French have too many locations under their control. But and the French will try to stop me. There's no question there. All right. I guess that's about it. And we'll move the baronials. A lot on this side of things. French moved here. I didn't put a little moved marker there. These guys pushed forward. These moved here, built earthworks as well. That's just a block so that Benavides can take his entire force out of there, and these guys are unlikely to take that location. That location is kind of important if supply still mattered, but it doesn't anymore. Cordoba is cut off from his supplies. He's basically going to be pushing his troops, and, to whatever extent he can. Yeah. Remember, he can win a major battle and not get a no move marker out of it. That's a big deal. He's able to be more active, but he just doesn't have enough points, to even operate himself, much less this whole rest of the army. There's one period in the game where he gets enough points to be able to operate by himself. But, you want to do things with his other units, but there's just not the points to do shit in this game. There is an interesting facet here. Cordoba came in. De Leyva got a bad roll, so he forced Albini, who was his opposition, to roll, to expend his zero move. But when there are ties, you're supposed to use the printed initiative value. I think that means I use this 3 and not the 0. So it would be possible for Albini, to be at the same level as De Leyva, and then I think they roll off or whatever. But one could also argue, look, they're in garrison man or stand or whatever. They really shouldn't have any higher than the 0 that's printed on the counter. But I think it does say printed on the card. Again, I'm not going to look it up, but it does feel like you could make an argument for the other direction. Okay, I think we're at the end of the line. Benavides got an interesting die roll, a big one, but it's a pass for his reliable troops, which came back, but he destroyed the unreliable. I'm not actually sure if the reliables, like, it's really unlikely the reliables failed. But I had them flipped over as if they're demoralized. Maybe I rolled a 6. That's the only thing that could have hurt them. And that's an FF. Yeah. It should have lost troops then. I don't know. Oh no, FF is if they're more than 3. Yeah. So yeah, he would have demoralized. Okay, so it's possible. I removed some of these that were used to avoid stuff. I'll remove these as well. But we have 2 battles. Now Gonzaga moved in, but had to cross a river and did not have enough points to build entrenchments. So he can't start a siege yet. Which means Gonzaga is going to have to roll an attrition roll, and the troops that are there are not. I'm going to just sit within the fortress with Paredes. He does not want to face all that. But here, Cordoba is able to include De Leyva with his force. And we'll move them up, and they no longer have an attack order. The point is wasted now, or goes away, but we're in a position where we can make a major battle there. Now that's against earthworks, which is essentially the same as fighting with a river crossing. Remember, Cordoba's command, though, means that affecting terrain doesn't apply. But this is kind of weird. Because he has multiple forces, I'm not sure. I think these guys are affected by the affecting terrain. I don't think. Let's take a look at how this is. Furthermore, a Capitano uses the non-affecting line when attacking. So that's a big deal, because if I had everything under me and I just counted, as a regular skirmish type battle, I wouldn't be in I wouldn't be in that position, right? My entire force would operate. I don't have enough room to command this entire force, though, so that's okay. What else do we have? Yeah, we have the attritions there, but that's all that's going to be. And nowhere else, I think, is going to have attrition unless someone's where they don't belong. Attrition obviously comes after combat, so I guess we'll do that major battle. I kind of don't want to, because I remember how much of a pain it was last time I peeked at those rolls. We'll take these off. And hey, we can set it up this way. There's nobody down there now. I have to swap batteries and get my willpower up for this. I need to reload a pipe. Part of it is, with the sleeping or lack of sleep that I've got, I'm kind of punch drunk again. But it's what it is. All right, I'll be back in a little bit to start this sucker. Last time I was looking at this, I forgot about something, which is that you get I skipped something here. Each player rolls a die, divides the result by 2, and they get that. Add that result to the initiative rating of the Capitano General, and that's the number of tactical chits they can use. Now, I think the earthworks and rivers don't count, but remember, the French can't use the earthworks in this scenario. There was not an opposing river crossing. All the units came in through this hex, one way or another. And I screwed something up. Maybe I didn't. I thought Benavides was leaving his hex, but he's not. And I got that there. Okay. Again, I'm punch drunk. Okay. And we kind of deploy the Capitani and pick the TOCs at the same time. So let's figure out how many each of us gets. It's initiative? Yeah. Okay. So Saluzzo is going to have 5 total, and Cordoba is going to have 8 that he can pick. Now, Saluzzo has a lot of police with him. He can only assign 2 to each, so I don't really need the die roll there. And over here with 8, 2 to each, even if I'm using Fabrizio, I still end up with enough that I can give each commander two chits. So with those high die rolls, I have no problem. Hill terrain, we don't worry about, well, we do worry about this. So any cav is halved. Put that here. It's affecting terrain, but we don't care about that. Well, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Let's look at the L again. Furthermore, a Capitano with the strategic always uses non-affecting when attacking and does not place a no move. I think it does count as affecting terrain for anybody attacking here, except for Cordoba. Now I'm putting a lot of troops, Cordoba has a lot of troops with him. Fabrizio should be here. He also is taking the combined arms. I'm debating whether or not to take charge. I have to go look that up because there's a penalty on the charge table. I don't mind the penalty on the artillery table. I mean, there's some chance I get hit, like I take a loss on the artillery from just firing the guns. They're early guns. They had a likelihood of exploding and whatnot. That's probably what that's taking into account. I don't want to lose the guns because I kind of have to take Naples, but, you know, whatever. But other than the charge, I am giving Navarro the artillery, and I'm giving him an earthworks marker. I think I'm allowed like 2 earthworks markers. So I could actually protect Deleva as well, his forces. 1, 2, 3, 4. I could give him more cav from Deleva, because I don't think Deleva is going to charge. But I also have the option to use the firearms instead of the charge, which might be a useful thing to pick. Earthworks and river are an exception. They can be assigned to a defending force which is attacked. I think, see, this is the weird thing. Like, I'm not sure what qualifies as attacking, okay? Because in the Vanguard, in the main fight and whatnot, you have attackers. Engagement Declaration 1.1.2. Let's take a look at what that says. That can't be right. 1.1 is here. It's got to be over here. Oh, 1.1. An engagement is a contest between which can be engaged. Yeah, I think actually I am the attacker, so I'm not allowed to use the earthworks, even though I built them. I had the movement points. I believe I was allowed to build them in a contest attacks. Otherwise, you can't siege anything. So, yeah. Well, that kind of sucks. I'm trying to decide the placement of units, and then there's sort of an ordering of placement as well that I have to work out here. So, both players beginning with the attackers alternate placing. So, yeah, I put Navarre down. I've got his chit in place. Remember, I have to use a special chit if I want to put anybody in the Vanguard or rear guard. Oh, I might want Cordoba in the van. And giving anyone the formation chit opens it up. So that's kind of interesting. I can have the heavy weight of my force hit his force first. So I think I want to play, since I can't play the earthworks on anyone, I think I want to play a formation on Deleva. I actually have to put these chits down before I start placing the Capitani. I do believe. And then I play them as I place. So Deleva, Cordoba. I have to make some decisions though. What is he sitting with? He's got some light cav, which I don't think is allowed to charge. Oh no, you can charge with light cav. Yeah, so I gotta look up how bad the cav charge is gonna be in the Wooded Hills. Remember, they're gonna be halved, but I think there are advantages to doing the cav charge, which may still apply. Okay, the cav charge is on the same side here. The only kind of hill is this Wooded Hill. That's what we're in. That's gonna create a penalty of 1. Which is covered here. Earthworks would be bad, except he can't use the earthworks. I don't think he has Swiss or Landsknight. I know he doesn't, but infantry with firearms, I don't know. I think he actually does, which would be a penalty. But there's here major battle optional rule 01.1 at the defending force played firearms. Ruh-roh. Like I thought firearms is for the screening. Allows a corps to screen the bulk of the corps with firearms equipped troops. Yeah, I think firearms would work for him. So I may not want to charge, because I may know he has firearms. A flank charge is if someone else is pinning him. 1.1 is all of these, so that doesn't actually help. Is flank charge listed? Cavalry declared by a corps which is not engaged against an enemy corps which is already engaged. It's a flank charge. I feel like I'm going to be suffering kind of heavily here. Now, my cav is 5 points of heavy cav and 2 points of light cav. The 5-point heavy cav, so the more cav you have, the more likelihood that you get hurt. And it just looks to me like we are not going to get a real bonus here. And I don't have any cav leaders or anything like that. I have the siege and the artillery leaders. So I don't think I want to play the charge. Combined arms is good. I do want to use that. Muster allows you to pull... Well, I don't know. There's muster and there's reserve. What the fuck? Reserve allows you to move from the rear guard. Muster allows you to leave the battle early. Okay. So I'm giving formation to DeLeyva. I'm giving firearms to Cordoba. I don't have firearms with DeLeyva. Do I want to... I could swap this in for this and give him firearms as well. But I only have one firearms chit. I don't know. There is, on the charge, heavy quality troop qualifier. Quality. Use this modifier if at least half the charging units are heavy cav. This is weird because charges happen in waves. I think they don't happen in waves maybe in the basic rolls. But charges happen in waves. And... it's not clear from here what that means. So if I was looking at this, I don't have the troop quality listed here. Like the waves are supposed to be troop quality 13.1 quality. What the fuck I'm supposed to do with that? Like, that's the normal quality comparison. Displace the charging core, taking into account SP's cav quality. If this latter should have combat units with different heavy and... yeah, it's not in there. I mean, do I just add the quality of the heavy cav? Or is it a modifier? Like it seems to be, it seems to say modifier here. So over here, no. Over here, it says plus heavy cavalry troop qualifier. I think that's the whole quality of the cav. So my heavy cav are quality 1 and quality 3. I would be able to use the quality 3, but then they'd take losses first. I think I could get a +3 on the die roll for that, which starts to make charge make sense. And firearms doesn't make as much sense. My charge would be coming... pissing me off. The amount of switching I have to do. So my charge would be getting earthworks possibly at -1. No earthworks. Terrain is not listed here, but I'm pretty sure it affects. So, but firearms would give me a -1. So I could be attacking at +1 on the charge table with these, which at least gives me a possibility, but I don't think I want to do it. Light cav sounds really shitty on a charge. Like, I don't think you want to dispatch your light cav. I'm going to use the firearms and the co-arms there. These guys are going to... I'd really like them to dig in. I could actually put the formation up here and put DeLeva in the back so he doesn't get whacked. But I've already placed him. I have to place him first. Just looking to see what else I might want to do. I might want to grab a muster. Let me leave the battle. Why not? Okay, the charge does not sound good. I've got too many minuses for it to work. So the real question is whether I can only use firearms with one of my forces. And I can't use earthworks. I think I'll just go with this. For the French, I have to get their chits. I have to swap batteries again because this is taking forever. Literally, as I play with this damn thing. I went downstairs to fill a pipe to take a moment away, whatever, before I start doing the chits for the French. And there was a UPS truck. It wasn't for me, but I was hoping. So I'm expecting Stellar Conquest 2 at some point. I haven't gotten an email about it, but it shifted to February. But then while I was down there, I realized that, although I was aware of this earlier, this is the 4th anniversary of my wife's death. So, yeah, that may be some of my downer, more than usual in some ways, and some of the depression and everything. It's just, I don't know. That kind of took all the purpose out of my life in a lot of ways. And then, you know, the final blow was losing my job, which kind of gave me something to do. And now all I do is play fucking Raid, and when I can, and come up here and fuck with my goddamn battery. Another bad thing. I have this. This is the second heater that I've lost. It, you know, what happens is, and I'm sure it's because of my smoking, I end up see, this is just so fucking obnoxious. When it's red, it's charging. When it turns green, it stops charging. I end up, you know, they have heating coils and they have a fan in them, right? And that one looks like a fan. It won't even turn on now. It used to be I could clean it out a little bit and it would turn on, and then if I could get the fan running, it would clean the engine out. I think it's at the point where it's just dead. My other one had the same thing happen, and I threw that out, which just sucks. I was clever enough, because I knew this was going to go, that I got another heater, but it's this weird little tiny thing, and I don't trust it as much. Okay. So on to what the French are going to choose as I delay long enough. I can't use the earthworks as the French in this scenario, so I've shifted my forces around, put the artillery here, put some infantry to help guard them, and given La Police an artillery marker and I'm giving Saluso the firearms marker. I'm not sure it's going to do anything because almost all I have are firearms units. It does protect against charge, is the only thing I can think of. And I will put La Police in here. Now it's his turn. De Leyva, what's he got? He's got the formation order. That's the only thing he's got. He's going to go in here. Saluso will go here. I could put somebody in the van. I don't really want to do that. I want the advantage of the artillery. But Cordoba's going to put himself in the van. Okay. That brings us over here-ish, back to this table. And the Vanguard fight. Only the corps placed in the 2 Vanguard are active. They can use artillery fire, execute cav charges, and or engage in melee, playing the required TOCs. Now, I had to play my formation TOC at this point. So De Leyva has played that. I can take that off the board. That allowed me to be in the Vanguard. If the enemy player has no corps in his Vanguard, friendly corps in the Vanguard may fight against enemy corps in the main body. I have no idea what he's got on his cards. That is certain at this point. So I can pick one of these folk to hit. I'm going to do this at random because I've got some foreknowledge here. Corps in the main body are inactive, but they can be subject to artillery fire charges or engaged in melee. Alright, so we're going to go after La Police. That's going to be our engagement. We don't have an artillery chit. We don't have a cav charge. So now we do a melee engagement. Paragraph 112 is engagement declarations, which is this. I could actually hit both corps, but I don't think that's wise. A friendly corps may engage one or more enemy corps. However, the total amount of undemoralized SPs of the engaged corps must not be greater than twice the undemoralized strength points of the engaging corps. So I do have to be able to announce how many strength points I'm putting in there. It's pretty clear that La Police is less. Now we resolve it one at a time as an option of the player who engaged. Conceivably, I could have put more forces in the Vanguard, actually, but I don't want to do that. Tactical options. I have the combined arms option, which I want to use. La Police does not have anything. He played his, he does not play his muster. Okay, what does combined arms do for me? More than one combined arms may be played by each side in the fight. I don't think so. I think I only have one. Oh. It increases the SPs on the ensuing attack on the AST. Cav times 1.5, infantry times 2. Okay, so we go to a fight here. That's 8 and 9 is 17. 18 strength points, hitting La Police, whose artillery don't count, I believe. We can look at the common rules for engagement. Somewhere. Artillery is never included in the SP ratio unless the defending force is entirely SP. It can then fire as an artillery force, but must defend as one SP of infantry as a whole. Okay. And it does take losses. So because these were in the main battle, I get to hit them. And I got kind of lucky, I guess. Although I don't know what's going to happen here. Okay, so I get the plus 2 to the die roll modifier. Plus 3 because I've got leader. None of that, none of that. Quality. He's a quality 1 unit. I am, I think, forced to quality 2 because I got these guys here. Which means I will be a +1 on non-affecting because of my leadership ability. I get a 6. That's going to demoralize this, which kills it. I'll put it there because it's not there anymore. 1D. Well, a hit has to be taken, and this is demoralized. This force has been broken and goes into the demoralized section. Is there leader loss checks? I seem to remember that there are something. Yeah, on a 1 or a 2, La Police will be eliminated. It says various forms of combat when required. Thanks. Thanks, buddy. I don't know when I'm fucking supposed to be required. When am I required? I don't know. You would think when I'm demoralized, I should be. I haven't done this anywhere else, so, you know, whatever. Leadership bonus, 13.1.5. Maybe that'll tell me. No. I don't know, man. So, I like the way the rolls are structured in a lot of ways, in terms of like the numbering and everything, the amount of word. Oh, look, my fucking battery. But I find it really hard to find shit in these rolls. Even given that. Like, and stuff like when the roll is required. Well, I don't know when it's fucking required, and I can't find anything. You know, I would expect that it would tell me maybe here in the general procedure for battle, or, I mean, possibly in the specifics, but maybe it just, maybe a chart will tell me, like the pursuit chart or something like that will tell me. Let's see if that is the case. Yeah, Capitan elimination comes off of that. I think that's the only place it happens, which we're not facing yet. So La Police has been defeated in the Vanguard battle, in the Vanguard fight. Hold on. I am playing with the extra cumbersome optional rolls, and the way this is all structured is part of the pain. It's like they've got this extra section for the main battle here, but then, you know, it's not that different from what you look at here. There's figure out what type. So this is a regular combat. You figure out what type of battle it is, and then you're sent to different pages to figure out how to handle it and everything. Honestly, I don't think that the optional rules add a hell of a lot other than this chit placement thing and the weirdness of the Vanguard battle being ahead of the normal battle. Fucking thing. Okay, so now we go to the main body fight. Only the corps placed in the two main body sections are active and may use artillery fire, execute cav charges, or melee. They must fight against enemy corps in the main body. If you have unengaged corps in your Vanguard, friendly corps in the main body can attack those. So I could attack this, but I know what that is. So what happens? The attacking player gets to choose the what's going on. Okay. This feels weird. Like, again, the attacking player is, I believe, Cordoba. Now, how we align is not obvious to me. There we go. Every engagement is composed. How engagements are declared. Beginning with the Capitan with the highest initiative and then descending from him. Capitani decide whether to engage. Okay, so our highest initiative, he has a 2. De Leyva has a 3. Navarre has a 2. That may not be wise, except I like his artillery bonus, so he has to have the guns. Okay. Well, one thing it does is it allows me to bring Navarre up to face Saluzzo, which I want to do because I'm covering my guns that way. Okay. Am I allowed to? Because he has 8, 14, 15 strength points, and De Leyva only has 3, 4, 5. No, he's not allowed to attack. Now, so I believe he's just not allowed to declare an attack, which is probably good. Engagements are resolved one at a time at the player who attacked in step 1 of the battle sequence. Step 1, that gives Cordoba all the things. So I can't declare an engagement with my guy. I believe we roll a die, French win on odd, as to whether Saluzzo gets to attack. No. So Navarro is going to get to do the artillery fire as the next thing, I think. Let's take a look at the ordering here. Yeah, we resolve artillery fire before anything else. So I get to do that anyway. So we're going to fire Navarro's artillery. And obviously at Saluzzo, he's the only one who's there. So we look for the chart. It is in the last possible place. We have 3 artillery. We have an A ability, which I think gives us something. 3 puts us here. We're in hills or marsh, that's -1. Okay, what the fuck does that A mean then? All right, let's put this back here and look for A. They're included in the odds determination of the assault. Artillery units fire and then are top. During a major battle, if a Capitan with the artillery plays an artillery chit, he may fire an unlimited number of rounds of fire, provided no more than one is fired per battle round. Okay, well, so we're at -1, which is not particularly good. That means we have an equal chance of getting a DC as we do of taking an artillery hit. Well, we win. Okay. Target enemy units have to make a discipline check. And the B would mean a breach if we were there. Okay, so Saluzzo has to make a discipline check. His forces are all lousy quality 1. Does he get any modifiers? Nope. He rolls a 1, which is good. That allows him to pass, so he makes it. Now I know where the enemy has his artillery. I'm allowed to attack either of those, but I'm going to go for the artillery. Like, I think I can ask, can I attack? I have X number of strength points or something along those lines. So now I'm hitting his artillery, which would normally have a strength of 1, but now it has a strength of 3 because I have an artillery commander. But Saluzzo has 8, 14, 15, which gives me +2, and that's it. Quality? I'm quality 1. That artillery is quality 2. This is in affecting terrain. That still affects me even though I'm the defending player overall. And I'm not Cordoba. He's the only one not affected by that. So I'll be at -1 at +2. And I'll roll a blue die because it's the French. Okay, +2 gets me a 7 on the -1. I get a hit on him. Now, he just took brown. That means he has to make a discipline check on the 2 table. He also passes. I think these guys are still engaged. We have to follow here to see what happens. Combat resolution, we did this. Rearguard commitment. Okay. Where do we return? We have an ordering of what happens here. Like, I don't think we have a winning side. Let's see what we have here. If neither of the two okay. Beginning with the attacker, each can commit. After both players have had the opportunity to commit, if one player has no core in the main body or played a muster chit, which I can do now, I lose the battle. If both players have no core or both played a muster, the battle is a draw. If neither of those two happens, we go back up to the Vanguard fight. Now this is problematic because Cordoba can now join into the fight. And he still has his combined arms chit. This is not a good situation, but I think we're going to do it. Like, I don't think we played it. I don't think we play our muster chit. We hope to stop him here. Because if we can't stop him here, we can't stop him anywhere. If I can make it, never mind. All right. So we go back to the Vanguard fight, and he gets to declare his attacks, and he'll come in here as well with the combined arms, which means double infantry, 1.5 cav. Fucking battery, and this one's dying. So what were we at? 8 and 9 is 17, 18 strength points. Attacking 14, 15 strength points. That's not going to give any bonuses. Quality, we're at 2 in non-affecting because it's Cordoba. So we're at +1 there. We have +1 for our battle star, and that's it. And remember, this is variable enough that the French could win it, but not there. Okay, so the attacker takes a hit, and it has to be off a quality 2 unit. I'll take it off the non-firearms infantry. And the defender takes a 1 and a D. The D is a demoralize. So we're going to lose this. And again, I'll place those when I get it. These are the same. I'll take it off him. Okay. I'm sorry. I'll take this. He's demoralized. And I got to cut my battery. Deal with that piece of shit. At this point, the loser has to make a discipline check. Now, these are quality 1. These were as well. I don't know if they're impacted by this. See, if already demoralized, eliminated. That's the whole thing. But I don't know if that happens on combat. We get a 3. That's going to be a failure. If the affected combat unit has more than 2 SPs, it loses 1. Otherwise, treat it as a D. This one definitely loses 1. This one, I'm not sure. I think they're not in the combat as soon as they become demoralized. So they stay there. This took a loss. And now we're on the main fight again. Now, can I bring DeLeva in? He's got the first option to come in. He's got 4 strength points. This has 7. I could hit it. I would be not at 2-1. He wouldn't get a bonus off of this. Quality comes into play. I have quality 2. I would be a +1 on the affecting. And I believe I have to bring him in. I'm not positive about this, but I think you have to bring each unit in. No, only against not engaged. So that, first the artillery gets to fire. I'm allowed to fire as many times as I like. And over here. At this point, I only have 2 guns. And I'm at a -1, which means it's not going well for me. I'm going to not fire. Oh no, I'm already engaged. I must fire, I guess. I don't know. Okay, that's a 1. That doesn't do shit. Now, do I want to bring DeLeva in? DeLeva could save my artillery from being hit. Which means he would be at +1 on the affecting table with no other modifiers. And I'm going to do that because I don't want my artillery to get destroyed here. 4, the attacker gets a hit. We'll take it on our infantry, I guess. And then has to make a discipline check. And he's troop quality 2 on both of those, or? Nope, one's a 3. He holds up. Okay. So he has now engaged as well. And now it's on Saluzzo. Now, actually, yes, now it's on Saluzzo. And the artillery alone can't attack, so it's I probably actually didn't want that infantry in there because that could have forced them to attack. Of course, just the infantry would attack, but Saluzzo has to attack. Now, how does this work? Because he's facing 3 enemy forces now. When multiple engaged corps are present, the engaging corps attacks each one at a time in the order selected by the engaging player. So I get to hit first. So I will hit the artillery first. I have 7 strength points. He gets his defense of 2, which means I'll be a +1 on the affecting terrain. No, I'll be a +1 on the die roll. But I am at -1 on quality on the affecting terrain. I get a 7. I kill another one of these. It has to make a discipline check again. It would actually be kind of good if it broke because it would have left the field. F. If the affecting combat unit has more than 2, otherwise it's demoralized. It is demoralized, and at this point, Navarro is thrown into the demoralized set, and I can get rid of this chit. He's not playing anymore. Ooh, that battery's done. That means I can swap the drained one. Actually make it through the turn without running out of batteries completely. That one's charging. The new one's charging. It's all working. It's all working. All right, for my second attack, I'm going to hit De Leyva. De Leyva has 4 strength points. I have 7. I have no bonus against De Leyva, but I really don't want to hit Cordoba. That's going to be unpleasant. Okay. My quality is 1. He's going to pick a 3. So now I'm at -2 on affecting terrain, and I have no bonuses. This will not go well. I get a roll of 3. That's a 2D. I have to take 2 hits, and then I'm demoralized, and that's going to break me. I don't worry about this because I'm already demoralized. So now I've been broken, and now we move to the retreat segment, which corps becomes demoralized when more than half of its combat units are demoralized, and its units in good order have morale equal or less. This would have actually demoralized earlier. Oh well. Was that? Yeah, that's weird. I didn't realize how easily they became. How easily he would have cracked. Okay, so now somewhere pursuit and recovery. The winning side consults the pursuit table to determine the casualties inflicted. Okay, so we look here. The pursuing Primo Capitano has a bonus star. That's +1. Does he have undemoralized Stratidos? He does not. He's not got any movement points to expend, which means we're at +1. We get a total roll of 4, 60% of our cav and 20% of our infantry. I think we're going to wipe Saluzzo out. This does not result in any elimination checks. Yeah. Okay. 60% of our cav. We have 4, 5, 6, 7 cav. 7 times 6 is 4.2. And 20% of the infantry. 4, 5, 6, 7, another 1.4. That's 5.6 hits. Let's round that up to 6, I guess. We'll take this, and this is wiped out. Okay, I'll put it there. Now he has to retreat his full movement points away. Give me that infantry back. I have to take the artillery first. Okay. Take these chits off, they don't matter anymore. And Saluzzo, he's unemployed now. We come out of here. His movement allowance is only 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Back to there. And he's just been basically had the shit kicked out of him. The pursuit was handled. Cordoba will be in the battle hex. His subordinates are there. He would normally get a no move marker. He does not, because he's got the leadership ability. Get rid of these. Where the hell they go? And let's get these out of there. I should have broken earlier and taken less losses, but then again, I also caused more losses to the Spaniards. So we're just going to write it off and say, like many of the other issues where I fucked things up, it's all okay. All right. So that gives you some idea of what a major battle actually would be like. Now, again, I don't think it's that much more complicated outside of picking chits and whatnot, because you still break into individual fights under the major battle rules here, and multiple rounds and whatnot. Looking for the major battle. It's just, you don't have this little additional little piece of dross of the chits being put in play. But here you can see the reserve engagement can swing who the attacker is and whatnot. But yeah. Okay. So now the last thing we have is an attrition check down here. Paredes doesn't have to check. Gonzaga does. Gonzaga has 3, 7, 13, 23. That can't be good. It is not anything special. So Gonzaga loses a strength point off of his shit. And I look and I say, wow, these firearm units are not good at all. I'm going to take it off them. I feel like the firearms are less impactful than the troop quality and whatnot. And Alvino will be joining Cordoba on this next turn. So, we finally had a successful battle happen. A major battle, an attack that worked. Yeah, I mean, we had an attack that worked on a siege artillery. And this battery is almost dead, so we definitely need to break. It's still fair weather here in October. We get to see the after effects of Cordoba's victory. We'll see where he goes. Who was it? Salyuza got flung back, yeah. The French are going to have to try to recover. And I don't see anybody spending any points necessarily. See, here's the problem. This is, well, Salyuza has to switch to a retreat order because he needs to recover and he doesn't want to spend movement points before his recovery roll. So that at least I will do. Again, I thought there was something that triggered a retreat order. Like, I thought if you retreat, you got stuck with a retreat order and had to keep retreating. I can't find that. I don't know where I got that impression. But again, you know, I have trouble finding stuff nowadays. And these will go in their places because they're left behind. It is another sheep turn, which the French get, I guess, another 4 points, pumping them way up. They have more than enough points to operate probably for the rest of the game. The Spaniards are the problem. You know, supposedly on the offensive without the capability to do anything, which is what we were looking at before. Oh, and we get new troops as well. I'm not allowed to rearrange these troops because they're not actually officially there yet, but I could release, actually I gotta look at the reinforcements because they might be able to take their own orders or whatever. I doubt it though. Oh, he's allowed to take orders. Yeah, he could have any orders I want for free. Alternatively, I could rearrange these other forces that Cordoba has to go do something. And I think trying to take Roca da Aspro is worth it. I've got to gather 3 points. Right now I have none in this territory. Salerno is only worth 1. And the problem is I can't get to this in any easy fashion. But I can grab this easily, assuming I send someone like, say, De Leyva here off to do so. So let's give him the fast cav to do this job. Oh, is that the best unit? I could give him this 1 strength point instead in order to do that. And I will just give him a maneuver order, so because he's not going to do anything else. Unless I have, yeah, I don't have any baronials there. And I will be adding Alviano to the force because he's adding a lot more troops to me. And we'll press forward. I did forget to do a challenge Saluzzo didn't have any cav, yeah, so it wouldn't have worked anyway. Because I have higher quality cav than the French do for the most part. Albini has some good stuff too, but I have yeah, I have some rank 3 cav, so I could do that. Let me pile these on here. Navarro's guns are a problem. They're demoralized. They're the only thing that I have as a problem. Might I want to dispatch them to recover? I can't really, because I don't think I can give any order I like to other units. Oh, actually, Deleva may have to have attack orders as well, because the change from attack to maneuver would still cost me 1. So let's take a look at a couple of things. First, the L order. Oh no, I can give him whatever orders I like. Yeah, so Deleva can be given the maneuver order, and that'll avoid a previous attack. I need an attack order to take Salerno, like to begin the siege. And I don't think I can recover in a contested hex, which to me means I actually want good old Navarro here to be sitting with a stand order. And so, yeah, did I move Alviano? I must have. There he is. But Deleva and Navarro will be in the same hex as me. Again, I can take that stand order for free. That'll allow me to begin a siege that I don't really know if I want to actually begin with this many forces. What am I looking at here? I'm looking at 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 14, 22, 23, 24. That is way too many. So I may want to rearrange things. Switch Cordoba with the main force to a maneuver order so that I do not end up with a prior attack, and give, I guess, Alviano the attack order so that he can besiege Salerno. But I want to give him less forces to do that. Certainly under 10, but I also want to keep Cordoba's force fairly large. He's going to face attrition no matter what. He's been taking it every turn. Would have really liked to have loosed Alviano, but he comes in after the rearrangement. So the only way I can do things is to have Colonna take the forces that I want to send off to do the siege. So he's taking the attack order. Cordoba and Alviano are going to work together with a maneuver order. I don't know what the hell I'm doing with the baronials, so I'll have to look around and see if there's any opportunities. There is this, but I kind of don't give a shit about it. However, I can pump him out to go take this. I don't give a shit because I have no action points. I'm not going to get any more. I don't need the command line anymore. I got to force orders anywhere where I want to give them from now on. Spanish have a fair number of units, baronials that they can move. These guys, this one's still active with movement. I don't know how much he cares, but he can cover for Benavides. Conceivably, there's room there, so I can move there. I also have Pinheiro if I need him. There's looking where else I'm moving. I released a couple here in the hopes of getting those castles, but the French are also releasing quite a few. So I only can hold 5 for the French. So 1, 2 released, 3, 4, a 5th one released. I'm looking to grab as many castles and whatnot as I can to hold on to things like Di Livorno or whatever it is, Lavoro. But also, I gave an order to Allegre to move. Remember, I got tons of points, what the hell? And I'm shifting things from here, which will perhaps allow me to grab more things within body. Right now, I am holding 1, 2. How many do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. So that's all that I can release. So I can't release these, which might help me as well. But right now, I'm holding 1, 2 locations within body. I need to get 5 more. Well, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then these, I don't think the Spaniards can cover everything. Now, if I was wise, I would activate this, but I'm not really paying attention to what the French are doing, so there's some possibility I might lose control of that. Anyway, I'm not able to pay attention to what the French are doing. These are the commands that are being given out are essentially hidden. So I think that means we go on. Oh, did I forget to give them? No, I gave them their sheet. Now we move on with the baronial movement, and one of the big questions is, hey, you know, where do forces move to and whatnot? Well, the French are concentrating their mini baronials more on grabbing territory than the Spaniards really are. Like, it's just the way that, you know, this is the kind of thing that in a 2-player game could easily happen. In a solo game, the question is, at what point do you, like, kind of say, oh, wait, should I be able to, like, activate a unit because, like, this unit is unimportant and he could cover something? You know what? This is where I'm going to give a die roll, because basically the French came up with this clever idea. Are the Spanish also aware of it? On odds, I'll give them that, because otherwise this is going to be hard for them. They're probably going to lose body. All right, I'm going to allow them to be active with that same concern. I was sort of active already with down here spreading out to grab these two castles, but where else might I want to? Prospero Colonna isn't really doing anything for me. There's no reason not to keep this here, but I can release that. I have tons that I can move, so I'm kind of looking around, seeing, are there any other units that I wanted to release that I haven't yet? And I don't see any. Paredes is locked in. Oh, yeah, the minor wishes to as well. So that'll help me cover, but now there's sort of a, which baronial do you want to move first? The French get the first shot to do so, but it's alternating. So they're going to do a quick land grab as to who goes where and does what. This one kind of doesn't matter. If the Spanish don't release any, I can get an extra one, but if they release, I can get one after they go. There's kind of a go-like aspect to this. I can delay moving a piece there because he has to, for him to gain anything, he has to get 2 moves over there on me. So then I start looking over here, and I've got capacity to maybe gain some ground over here. I also don't know where his baronials are. Again, there are some things that you know, like the Spanish are aware of the French's possibility of spreading out and using their baronials. That's why I gave them a die roll. But the French do not know exactly where things like this are at the beginning of the turn. So a whole lot of jockeying over here. French moving up to try to take that back. Gonzaga does not have a siege underway yet. Ooh, I haven't moved this one. I might as well. He can't road move, he's too close to the enemy. He could after he moves away. 1, 2, 3 for a road move. 4, 5 to there. About where he would get without the road move, but here it was kind of a split with, you know, as soon as the Spanish went, the French have to respond. Elsewhere, some Spaniards moving forward here. This guy covering that location so Benevides can get out of there. And then up here, the French jockeying hard towards this. Now, this means I'm giving up maybe a threat here or over here, but I think I can hold on to Basilicata no matter what. And the Spanish working pretty hard to try to cover that, but they don't have as many baronials in that particular area. In fact, the French have a lot more baronials because they have a lot more territory. The Spanish just get to move a lot more of them. So wherever they have them, they can react. That's going to put me to the leader movement. I got to swap batteries, light up a pipe, and start thinking. Things are actually getting kind of hairy at this point, right? Like a lot is happening, even though the Spaniards have no points. Cordoba releasing all kind of troops all over the place means that there's a lot of different actions there. The French, Aggressor, taking action is, you know, going to allow me to move around. I think there's a good chance the French take body. It looks like they're pushing a lot of force there. I don't know for sure. We could count again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If I can take everything, I'm okay. If I can't, well, I could actually give up 1 because this is only a 7 this game. But yeah, I have to basically get 2 actions down here to take Monopoly and one of these 2 and not lose anything, but I don't think I can lose anything. Aggressor isn't going to have the troops to be able to siege anything. He's going to leave someone behind to cover. That'll be a freebie. A kind of interesting condition, which is they have Gonzaga with attack orders, so he gets his initiative even though he's not going anywhere. That's okay. And he was able to run through a bunch of the many garrison stand orders that the Spaniards have. I figured it doesn't hurt me to play those, right? I did march forward with Fabrizio Colonna here, and he didn't get the movement points to build an entrenchment, so he's not going to be able to start the siege yet. With this weather, neither of us is going to suffer an actual attrition roll because he's a small force, which was part of why he had to be where he is. The real iffy thing is Cordoba. Am I at an advantage putting Cordoba up at this point? I think I am. Because if he gets a bad roll, he needs a good roll. He needs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 movement points to even get here. And that means he needs less than a 5. I think I want to put him up if I'm essentially on. The French have to contest me with something. The only problem with that is if the French have any active units, they might get a beat on me. So that's why I'm burning through the garrisons first. And because of that, the French are probably going to burn one of their garrisons, although burning Saluzzo makes more sense. There's a little bit of gamesmanship here in terms of, look, if I guess Cordoba when he guesses a garrison, maybe that works out well. So if Cordoba rolls on his own, he has no way to protect. Like if all the French units go away, he has no way to protect. If the French put Saluzzo up first, like they've been putting Gonzaga up, or if they put Allegre up, they have an initiative rating. So either of these would have an initiative of 3, which means they could interfere with Cordoba. I'm going to put a garrison up. For the French, I'm going to roll a die. Odd, they play Saluzzo. Even, they play Albini, who is just a 0. Okay, so they're going to try to play Saluzzo. So he's got a 3, and we pick another one of these garrison units. I think I'll take Navarro. This is beginning to get, something like this breaking apart is kind of complex. So Navarro has a 0. We roll. This is a -2, this is a -3, so Navarro has to go. He makes his recovery check as an N. And I'm going to have to be doing this kind of thing every time. Two is a pass. Navarro's going to get his gun back, and I paw through here, find him, and put a 2 on top of him, but keep the rest there. I'm going to have to roll every time, so I don't, well actually I do know at this point what the Spanish are going to pick and how much of a danger it is. So the Spanish can't pick Cordoba. Did I, yeah, because you actually pick a leader, select one. So that die roll was wrong. I think the Spanish would have had to select first. They would have selected a garrison. Would I have selected Saluzzo in that case, or just try to burn a garrison against a garrison? Probably garrison against a garrison. So that's what we're going to see next, because that's the way it really should have happened. I forget that it is selected. So De Andrade back here is one of my, I got Prospero done. I didn't use Prospero. I'll use him. So he's a 0, and thus, since he's picking first, Albini will pick. Just a 0 versus 0, hoping we break him, or we beat him. And we do. And that means the Spaniards have to pick again. They're again going to pick a garrison. It's going to be a garrison versus garrison. I think the André is my only remaining garrison. The French win again. I do the recovery check for him, where he's looking at normals. And he fails again. Okay. And that puts me in a problem, because now the Spanish have to pick again. And I'm going to pick De Leyva, because he's likely to be able to get where he's going. I don't know what De Leyva's doing. This is where I'll roll a die, whether I take Saluzzo or Albini for this. I will be picking Albini, which means De Leyva has an initiative of, I think, 3. Okay, De Leyva is going to get forced into going, because he got a minimal, he got a worst possible roll. He only gets 2 movement points, which is enough to get him there. And what does that put the French, what does that put the Spaniards to? I definitely have Cordoba left. I'm looking to see what else I might have left. It looks like I've covered everything, which means I have to put Cordoba up, and I definitely put Saluzzo versus him, because it's my best chance, and Saluzzo can do whatever he wants, whatever he needs to do with his orders. So Saluzzo got a 3 minus 5, which is -2. Cordoba got a best possible roll, so I'm going to actually take that and take my move. And we'll leave the earthworks here. We can't. There's no infantry left. Which gets me the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to here. And that means the Spanish are finished, and the French, I mean, the Spanish are going to pass at this point. You know, I may not want to. I'm going to put Cordoba up again, because I want to push into this hex. This is going to cause issues, attrition check, which is horrible, but I need to do this. So I'm at a 5 minus 1 because it's my second activation, puts me to a 4. Saluzzo's at a 3. Saluzzo wins, but he doesn't care. He wants Cordoba to do as little as possible. Well, 6 means a -1, so I only get 4 movement points max. But I don't need that. I only need 2. 1 to move in here, and 1 to build the earthworks that I need. Oh, that's Colonna. That's the wrong unit. Cordoba. I don't have earthworks there. Okay, Cordoba needs 3. No, he needs more than 3 if he wants to get there. Wow, I probably didn't want to move Cordoba. 1, 2, 3, 4 into Naples. That's a lot of attrition. I'm going to choose not to spend anything. I thought I was here. Actually, I'm just not going to even roll. So either way, it's essentially a pass. If I don't spend anything, I don't have to make an attrition check. Yeah, I wanted to keep that attack order going. What about this guy? That would cost me like 4. That would cost me all my movement points to get to. Don't really want to be there. I could hit Saluzzo, but again, that would cost me 4 movement points. I don't want to spend that many. Shit. Oh, and I am in a place. Oh, no. I need to. I am sieging that. I need to spend 1 movement point to build my earthworks. Actually, fuck it. I can storm that. Right? Why don't I have attack orders if that's the case? Where was I? I was here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I should be here. I don't have attack orders. Yeah, I don't want to do it anyway. Okay, I'll just sit there because I'm able to try to force attack orders next turn. I also don't have the artillery, so I'm not going to be able to get it in siege hex, but I could be able to just storm it and try to push through that way. All right. This is problematic, but do I want Colonna to force march, though? Well, if I did, I would have had this roll against him, so we'll do that instead. So he was 2 minus 6 is minus 4. Worst is minus 3, and I have infantry with me, so I have the 2 movement points I need. I'm going to make my attrition check. I move into here. Yeah, this is how I wanted to do it. I move into here, I get the earthworks. I got the worst possible roll, so, you know, this is as bad as it can be. And now we make our attrition check, which will be minimal forces. Weather's fine, but I spent 2 movement points, so I get a +2 on the die roll, which is not great, and that's going to get me an 8, which gets me a kill. I guess we'll take one of these infantry. I don't know. Infantry suck. I'm not going to be able to storm the castle. That's the problem. I would have been able to storm it if I hadn't lost a unit. Which I could have gotten away with by spending only one movement point, but it still wouldn't have helped me. I still would have lost the strength point. This is fine. That means now I am done, and the French get to activate the couple they have left. Albini not doing anything. Did I check for everybody who's recovering? Yeah. D'Andrade is the only one who failed. Which means, oh, I've got Allegre and I've got Saluzzo. Saluzzo is very easy. He's got 3. He's going to move back here, and he will be able to absorb this unit. I'm just going to put it there because it's not going to make a damn bit of difference. No reason to build fortifications or anything like that, and he's going to try to defend Naples as best as possible. He does get to do a recovery die roll. However, he may not want to do it because there's a +1, and these are sensitive troops. A +1 means it's almost impossible for me to succeed, and units might just disband. So I'm going to stay. Oh, I had a retreat order. I'm fine. I'm not allowed to recover while I have that order. Okay. And then the final thing is Allegre, who has a 3. He will be with 4 movement points. I drop this here. The earthworks don't fucking matter. I don't know why I have them there. So I have 4 movement points. 1, 2, 3, 4. I take another one of those. I need to still take this, but I can do that with just a baronial troop, actually. Which is important because I no longer am in supply. I've lost my line of communication. That can be problematic for sieges and whatnot. Like this guy is going to be at a penalty. That's all the movement. It was a complicated turn. I wanted to zoom in on it and show you, what all the activation checks are and whatnot in something that is that complicated. This is, if you're this far, you've probably been watching. This is pretty unlikely to happen very much, right? A turn where there's this much going on. But the rest of the game might be that way because we're going for victory now and not so much worrying about trying to maintain our points. So we have 2 battles going on at this point, both of which we get to start a siege in. And I could actually not use the battle markers, use the sieges for this. Let's look at Gonzaga first. He has a reasonable size force. He can't do a breach attack. There should be a siege 0 there. He can't do a breach attack, but he could try to storm it. What would storming be like? Well, Paredes has 2 units. Gonzaga, 2 strength points, doubled is 4. Gonzaga has 10, 15, 19, 22 points. That means I'm at the bonus, the +2. My quality, I can go with quality 3. He's at quality 1. We need the terrain. The terrain is just normal and it's a fortress. Fortress doesn't do anything if I recall correctly. Yeah, fortress doesn't do anything other than the city. See? Okay. I thought, I'm seeing this C here. Passing through fortress costs 1 through a road, otherwise OTH. That's not how I remembered it being. I've been walking through the fortified cities I know were, but I think I've been screwing up. This would slow people down even more. A fortress and a hex containing a fortified town or city. That does not tell me. Roads. Roads do pass through a fortified city, but the hex for the fortress is paid rather than the cost for the road. Yeah, this contradicts what's said here. So, a fortified city would have this C. I don't think a fortified town does if you read this, but looking at the chart, it does. I'm doing what I did, which is saying that the fortified town doesn't count. I was initially, like in the second scenario that I played, I was counting this and then looked this rule up instead of looking on the chart, not realizing that the chart had the information I wanted. And I came to the conclusion, and I've just been playing it, that fortified towns do not cost extra to move through. I don't know which is correct. Doesn't matter too much, given how hard it is to operate in this game, and kind of tending towards not charging the 1. And it only matters when you're going on a primary road where the cost is less than 1. Okay, so Gonzaga wants to assault because he's going to be at +2 on the non-affecting terrain, which is a good table to be on, and I have the +2 bonus. So this is all very good. +2 for 4 to 1, including the doubling and everything. But I only get a 4, which is probably enough. Paredes loses 1, and 1 is disordered. So Paredes has just been captured and is gone. We took Capua. We own this province, so we do not want to pillage it. We probably wouldn't anyway. Just going to get all these markers off. The earthworks don't matter anymore. Paredes goes over here and goes into the dead pile over here, whatever. I'll sort them in later. This battle is done. The other battle situation is down here at Salerno. F. Colonna doesn't have enough troops that I feel comfortable in assaulting. Even my quality also isn't very good. Although I could have taken the hit on the infantry and then my troop quality would be better. But these guys are halved in cities, in fortified, right? No, they're not. So weird. The cav somehow is full strength as long as the terrain's okay on sieges. That just feels so fucking weird. Let me think about my choice there, because I really do need to fucking take things. Now, I'm just going to do that on the attrition table. We'll do that attrition now, and then I'll walk away and do the rest of the attrition. Well, I mean, turn the camera off and do the rest of the attrition, because that's the last key location. Here, we have cut his supply line. No, not quite. You can slip it through here. You got 2 hexes to the road to get your line of communication. So it's just a normal siege roll. Only the defender has to roll, because the attacker is small enough that the high end, there's no bonuses. Well, the defender's gone, so I got very lucky and take this location. I get to keep my earthworks here. The siege and the battle go away. And this means right now I have 2 of the 8 that I need to control this territory. I could just put these all away. They're not coming back. There's no more baronial turns. I'll do the rest of the attrition, if there is any. There should be. Cordoba, yeah, let's check. Cordoba has one. 4, 5, 9, 17, 20. That's not a good table. He does have a -1. But a 4 is going to cost him 1. What do I want to lose? I want to lose these guys. Yeah, it's weird because they're in combat, they're troop quality 1. They're normal as opposed to these guys who are sensitive but are troop quality 2. You know, I like that it can express both of these at the same time. Is there anywhere else where I'm likely, where I need to make an attrition roll? I can't think of anywhere. Salyuzo was not able to recover this turn, just making sure that I'm checking everything. That means we're going to go into November. Now, in November, the weather starts getting really iffy. What's worse is I'm going to have to force commands to be able to get any kind of advance down here. What are we at points? Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. The French are at +4. I don't think there's a way that the Spaniards can get enough points at this point in the game. Oh! What the fuck, Benavides? Weren't you supposed to move? Guess not. Well, he absorbed that. He had room for it. But I was in danger of, like, overstacking there. In which case, I just wouldn't have been allowed to. I would be back here or whatever. All right. That's it for this turn. We're going to let the camera recharge a little bit and go down and do whatever I do. You know, I stayed awake for a while. I have to play Raid at like 3 a.m. It's not that time yet. I don't know when it is. But I've been sleeping for an hour or two here and there and everywhere. And I took another couple hours nap at like 6 or 7, you know, after I played sort of my minimal Raid. And then I got up and like, I don't know what time it is, whatever. I think it's getting close to midnight actually. But I just keep taking these little naps and like, I don't know if this is getting me in any better position for going shopping tomorrow, but I really, really have to. It's either tomorrow or the next day, I think, because then it starts snowing again, and it's fucking cold out. Now, I was too tired today to play with the chainsaw, although I almost convinced myself to. But, yeah, I mean, I also, it ends up hurting me. Like my legs end up hurting from it and whatnot. Even just, you know, from doing it for a half hour or less. I got to kind of squat, and then I also have to throw wood around at the same time. Here we are in the game going into the winter months. It is November, which is unlikely to be good weather. But it stays fair, which it isn't doing here. It's kind of funny getting a little bit of snow. No, I mean, most years we don't get snow that sticks even this much. So, you know, but earlier this year, last year, about this time last year, is when I had my big power outage. We had snow, we had ice. It was just horrible, and I'm traumatized. I was traumatized the first time it happened, like the first or second year that I lived here. Had to be the second. Yeah, and, you know, weather here is scary because even, you know, It was supposed to be freezing rain. It started out that way, turned into snow. Snow is a little safer, although the weight causes problems to the trees. The trees on the hill are ready to topple in a lot of cases, as I keep finding out. But the ice is the worst. It's supposed to rain today. It's supposed to get warmer for the next few days. So this should not be a problem. I'm just not seeing enough snow that it's likely, and a lot of stuff that fell, a lot of stuff that was going to fall has fallen, I guess. I'm hoping. God only knows. But anyway, yeah, that's just part of the ramping up of my sort of relatively mellow nightmare of my existence, right? It's like a bad dream that just keeps going and doesn't get better. And it's funny because it's Thursday, right? A lot of time has passed since I last played. And but I managed to make it out shopping on Tuesday, which is why, I didn't play at all, that and Raid, and oversleeping, like constantly sleeping too much. But I made it back with food, but I'm always fatigued when I do that, and that helps me sleep more. Whether that's good or bad, I don't know. And then yesterday, relatively early in the day, I went out and I cut some wood, which is also fatiguing. There may be a little too much snow to convince myself. I don't know. Snow doesn't really get in the way, but I'm not sure what it'll do with the chainsaw. I mean, I'm sure it's fine. But the chainsaw, I cut enough until the chainsaw gave me trouble. And, I was already tired and the chainsaw was complaining. So I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. It's time to go in. And so again, I'm exhausted, and I keep curling up and just going to sleep when I'm exhausted and playing Raid when I'm not sleeping, basically. I forced myself to come up here, but right after I did the cutting the wood, I ended up getting an email, and my dad's health has deteriorated. He might be going in for some kind of heart surgery or something else, but he's got issues. He's very old, much older than I hope I'll get, and I'm so worried that I'll get that old if I don't do something decisive. But, I failed to go down to see my mom, and before she died, and that was a rough year. My wife had just died, and then a couple months, and then my mom got very, very ill. My dad actually contacted me asking me to come there to help, and I was trying to motivate to do so. It's so hard for me to leave this location, this house, at all. It had already become so before my wife died. And then, I get this email, and, I just don't fucking know. I could conceivably make it there for our birthdays, which are close together. But I'd have to motivate a great deal. I'd have to move quicker than I'm capable of. And on top of that, if I don't do it then, I'm kind of fucked, because I don't have ID that's going to work after that switches over. And that adds yet another fucking hurdle to the whole thing. And Jesus, I mean, I don't even think I'm going to play. I think I'm just going to load this up, because this is just, my personal ramblings and whatnot. But I just don't. No, I'll add it to the video because I don't want to post this. But I'm just so fucking incapable of doing anything, you know? And it's like, I mean, all I fucking want to do is die, but I'm too weak to do that. And yeah. And it's like, you know, the nightmare of my existence, and I really do consider it that, is that I'm trapped in it and I can't take any steps that will help it. Like, I just can't. In part because I'm just hoping that I fucking die before things get too much worse, and then things inevitably keep getting worse. It's like, anyway, I managed to do something at least, you know, after the news kind of set me back. I actually convinced myself to go out and sweep my porch, and it doesn't really look like it, but it got some of the snow off of it and whatnot. But, you know, I mean, I can do like physical things like that and just generate them as some sort of reaction, but actually fucking doing anything that'll help my reality as a whole, no. You know, I'm letting my teeth rot in my face. It's hard enough to go shopping because I'm hoping I fucking die before the goddamn weekends. Well, it's like, you know, a 3-week period, but I'm fine when I have the food. It's like that last week and I'm like, yeah, I'm fucked. Yeah. All right. Let's get to playing the game, because one of the things I tried to fucking promise myself is that I'm going to try to push through this and get it, like, at least, you know, get a turn done before I go to sleep. But like, reality is just, this ain't my world, man. It ain't my world. I don't know what it is, but I went out. Try to get myself into this. Let's look at the commanders, think about what they're doing. Saluzzo. Okay, Gonzaga has a previous attack on him for this turn. Albini, I'm good with the garrison. That doesn't cost me anything. Allegre. I don't want a garrison. I have the capability to keep taking stuff. So I'm going to pay for a maneuver. French have tons of points. No problem. No problem at all. Saluzzo, his forces are beaten up. He needs to go into garrison here. And the weather's fine, so I don't have to go into quarters this turn. So nobody's going to do that. The final one is Gonzaga, who's over here. He's just taken a territory. I kind of want to move him around to react to Cordoba, maybe get into Naples, maybe cover some stuff. He does not have any baronials. I'm probably going to be moving some baronials around, but I'm also going to pay for Gonzaga for a maneuver action. So we spent a total of 2 AP. On the Spanish side, it's uglier. So I'll leave the garrisons in place to think about. But Fabrizio Colonna has a previous attack marker on him. I'll think about these others. And the garrisons as well, because I may need to move some of them. But I have no points left, which means whatever I do is going to be a forced march for the rest of the game. Right? Not a forced march, but a forced order. That's where this is going to fall apart. So, Spanish Minor A, he's fine over here. Moncada, you know, I mean, I could roll, but why bother? Why fucking bother? D'Andrade needs to stay in garrison. He still hasn't recovered. Benavides. Benavides is up here. I think I want to move him towards Cordoba. So we're going to roll for him. So he has to make a discipline check. What are his troops like? Well, these are normals, and that's a reliable. That's fine. We get a 5. That's a pass. We managed to get the maneuver command that I want. I don't want an attack command. We would have gotten the command either way. Okay. So that's him. De Leyva. Where's De Leyva? De Leyva has a normal quality cav unit. It's not doing a hell of a lot, but I might as well throw myself into maneuver with that as well if I can. Oh wait, there were normals here. I rolled really bad. These guys failed. F's for them, I think that just destroys them. That's bad. I would have detached one of them to prevent that from happening. I don't need both, but I didn't want one. We're not going to get any more of these, so the hell with them. Okay. De Leyva was normal quality. We make a roll. He succeeds. We'll give him a maneuver command. What about Fabrizio? Fabrizio has taken Salerno. He has reliable and normal. He also has my artillery with me. I need to try to force him. If I do an attack, what the hell happens? I don't fucking know. Like, I can't remember. Continuous attack. Has to make a discipline check in addition to any for forced order. I probably need the artillery to get into Naples. I'm going to try for an attack order on him, even though that's 2 discipline checks. So the first one, the chance of me succeeding is almost none. I'm going to garrison him. The reason is the distance here is short enough that an attack order can get me there. If Cordoba can set up the attack ahead of time. So there's 2 things that could be done. One is wait, I have Navarro in charge? I don't want Navarro in charge. That can't be right. Oh, Navarro was left behind. He has the artillery. Okay. Yeah, Fabrizio. So there's 2 options with Fabrizio. He's got all reliable troops, which are pretty good, right? As we keep moving this. Reliable pass on a 5 or less. That's not bad at all. Getting 2 shots at that, yeah, that's fine. But I may not need, like, I don't really need him. So him in garrison is fine. Navarro is the bigger problem. Navarro I need to force orders for. I don't need an attack order. Necessarily. He doesn't have an attack order. Navarro, 1, 2. Yeah, I just don't know. Navarro's not sitting in anything important. De Leyva's got his maneuver. Navarro does not. Navarro's got a long way to go. 1, 2, 3. Oh, wait, these cost now. 1, 2, 3 to here. 4, 5. I have a good chance of making that? Nah, I don't. I'm just going to go for a maneuver on Navarro, because his quality isn't all that high. He gets a failure. That demoralizes him, and we're stuck with a damn maneuver order, which means next turn, depending on where I end up, whatever, I probably want to throw him into garrison anyway, so he can recover. Fabrizio, and then I have the problem of, like, if Navarro's with other troops, he ends up, like, probably not being in command. He might be. Anyway, unless it's with Cordoba. Fabrizio, I have a garrison on him. Why? Because I don't care to move him. He's not necessary. So Cordoba's the big one. And he has mainly normal troops. Alviano here with him has some sensitive troops, which suck. And where's Prospero? Where the fuck's Prospero? He's like up here or something. Yeah, he's not doing anything. I will try to move Cordoba. I will try to do an attack order so I can lay siege to Naples. Although I don't have the cannons there. I don't know how much importance it is. I'm just a 4. Okay, that's not going to work for the normal troops. He has an attack order now, which means he gets a fucking previous attack unless I do another check. And he's kind of useless. This is demoralized. And right, wait. No, if they have more than 2 SP, they lost 1 instead. So this guy actually just lost a strength point, but he's okay. And the sensitive also fails and just takes a hit. So I've got a decent sized force to camp out in Naples and try to take it. Okay. And we kind of have to take Naples quickly so that we can run around and grab all kind of territories as well. Knocking Saluzzo out would do that. Although Gonzaga could interfere, Albini could interfere conceivably. French have tons of points. Spaniards have nothing. I mean, yeah, I could just surrender at this point. But I haven't finished the rules to what I want to play next. I'm even debating whether I want to play another scenario of this. Like, not the ahistorical one, but the final historical one. I tend to do that, but I've failed on games that I like more. So yeah, that's what we got there, and now I figure out where and what baronials are doing. Problems with having, so much shit on my mind and whatever. Things that I know I'm not able to cope with. Is they were around in my head and they get in the way of my playing even. To the extent that I'm playing and I'm like, I don't want to play. What do I want to do? I don't know. I want to fucking be doing something physical because I don't know what else to do. Except my neighbor's got his meat smoker out there. It's ridiculously early in the morning. I don't know. I'm trying to think. Usually he only pulls that out on special occasions. I see it on like Thanksgiving or whatever. Just weird. Maybe I'm mistaken about what it is, but I think that's what it is. Okay, so let's look over what we got. French moving baronial here. Spaniards, a couple of them moving up and closer here. This guy chugging along the road. What's really interesting is what's going on here. Spaniards managed to grab an area and body, but I'm going to lose body anyway because I'll get whatever his name is, Allegre, can grab Monopoly, and that'll swing it over. And I don't think it's going to be easy for the Spaniards to get it back, even if he walks out of one of these locations. And he's taken this Putagnara. but he got some good movement and managed to even push into Otranto a little bit. I don't think he can take Otranto easily. It's 7 areas, but there are a fair amount of cities down here. So if I've got one, these 3 cities would swing it over, along with this thing on the road. So if I can get, there's time. And that's part of what's like making it pretty much impossible for the Spaniards. Because even if I do the best that I can kind of do up here, and win a battle and whatnot, I don't think I'm going to be able to take the territory to make up for losing possibly a couple of these provinces. I'm not getting Basilicata. And I've never had the capability to move my forces, except by forcing them. And we can see forcing can work, especially if you have decent quality stuff, but it also can fail completely. And it's like, I don't feel like my feeling is, look, Cordoba won this campaign, right? I shouldn't have to be pressing my luck to have any chance. And that's how, looking back at it, that's how it feels. Same thing with the Ferrandino, that like, I'd really have to have gotten things perfectly to have any chance. And with the French in each of these, it's just like, I gained some stuff. That's cool. That's going to make it harder for him. And then I'm like, wow, I'm actually gaining continuously because of all these baronials I've been able to accumulate. And there was no option for the Spaniards to take a strategy like that, right? Like, all right, let's get to the major forces. I got to refill pipe. Try to mellow a little bit somehow. I'm always thinking, it would be nice if I could, I'm pretty sure I can't give up smoking, but if I could give up tea, because that's probably the thing that I see signs of, is liver poisoning from tea. I drink a lot of fucking tea. And I'm kind of like, yeah, that's not really a way I want to go. I don't know what is, but that's part of the problem. I don't know, but yeah, and then shit happens, and I need to calm down, and I need the things that I'm used to. It's maybe not too apparent. Saluzzo has a couple of demoralized units with him. That's problematic. I mean, that's apparent. That's problematic, though. I can't allow Cordoba to get into the same hex as me and take a siege. Because then these will never recover. So I'm going to actually put him forward as my first. I may send La Police out when I do that as well. Just so I don't lose another leader. But yeah, I mean, I kind of actually want him to go first. Now, there's always the question with the Spaniards, what am I trying to do? Well, I'm trying to bone the enemy movements. Cordoba is probably my best choice for that. He's all fucking demoralized. Damn it. Do I know that Saluzzo hasn't had a chance to recover? I do. So I actually might want to be rushing for it. I actually got in there. Doesn't take a great roll for Cordoba to get somewhere. And I think Naples is ours because of that. Saluzzo can drop this all. See, Saluzzo can't move. That's one of his problems. He could drop this off in his retreat, I guess, because he's allowed to do a reorganization or something. But I don't think he's actually allowed to, because he's the commander-in-chief. So he's got either the choice of taking the siege with all his forces or running away with all his forces, which it's not worth taking the siege. I got to swap batteries, but yeah, it's kind of an interesting situation beginning to develop there. I don't know what I'm doing. So let's take a look at a couple of the things that I activated. First of all, Allegre not only grabbed Monopoly, but he marched down and grabbed a city here in Otranto, making it even more likely I take both. This is taking a bit of a gamble. It's possible that this minor captain has orders. Although I didn't see him roll for any, and I know they have no points. Things which in the game should be exposed, but I think in the reality probably shouldn't. Like, I feel like there's a lot of die rolling that I would rather people be able to do hidden. You know, I've played with a couple of people who cheat. But for the most part, gamers don't. You know, they're willing to play by the rules, as it were. Winning is less important. And, you know, there's some people who cheat that it's fun enough to be with them that I'm like, okay, that's cool. And it becomes kind of a joke. But then there's others that it's like, yeah, unless they're like really bringing something enjoyable to the table, why bother, you know? But yeah, I've had a couple of friends who cheated regularly that I'd game with, and it just became kind of, you know, an amusing facet that it was like I didn't want to, you know, exclude them for that. If they get their kicks that way, whatever. And, you know, everybody in the group more or less agreed. We all knew they were cheating. It's like, well, what do you want to do about it? We'll live. Okay. But anyway, he charged down there. De Leyva was able to get a good enough move that he actually is joining the Naples force. Remember, Cordoba can combine his forces. I don't know how big an advantage that is, but it gives me an extra troop, which might have been an issue because Gonzaga's nearby. But Gonzaga just triggered his movement. He only has a maneuver order. He can't go into Naples to try to protect it. And I'm not really sure that there's anything I want to do. I could try to like arrange Albini to get over there, because he's kind of not doing anything and could command Gonzaga as well, and might be able to scoop up a baronial unit or whatever. But I'm also kind of blocking access to things like Sesa here. So if we look at this, you need 3 for this. No, you need 8 for this. That's 2. The supply doesn't even matter in the game anymore. I mean, I'm going to have trouble getting that 8. And I'm having trouble getting this 3 as well. I have 1 here. There are others here and here. Salerno's got to be a... No, it's not. So 1, 2... 3, 4. I think there's only... That doesn't count. So yeah, it's 1, 2, 3, and 4. I need to take 3 of those 4. That's over half. Yeah, that makes sense. So I need to get another one, which means somebody's going to have to grab this. This guy probably shouldn't have moved the way he did. He probably should have tried to get into position for that, to convert that over. Because if I can take a couple of these provinces, it at least makes up for what I'm losing. I think I still lose the game, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Yeah. Anyway, there's not a lot left. So, yeah, the question is, what does Gonzaga want to do? Does he want to engage in a big fight? I've got a shitty roll, which gets him down to 3 movement points, which I could come down, I'm sorry, half, 1.5. Counting 1.5 pisses me off. 2, I'm only able to move 2 max. I can't get there. So I could get here. I'm just going to pass with him. because I can't move Albini either. So it's like, whatever. And building fortifications doesn't do me anything. I'm in a fortress. At least I'm blocking access to some of the stuff back there. So I think that this Livorno can't go over easily. That's going to be a hard capture for. And plus, if I'm moving out in open terrain and whatnot, I'm not going to be able to recover my troops. Gonzaga doesn't need to, but I'm not going to be able to go into quarters. I may not want to if I'm being threatened. So that's kind of the end of the road for the French. And I think they pass after that. So I go to the Spaniards. And I know I'm being really slow. I was away for a couple of days. I don't remember how to play the game anymore. Like, it's clunky enough. It just... The features is when I have a lot of leaders on the board, having to translate between not just the troops and whatnot they have, but have they moved? What are they doing? You know, the French, it's easy. The Spaniards, there are just so many, and so many are in garrison and everything, and I have to pick around and try to figure that out. It's just hard to do. I do find that games that have, you know, troops not being right on the board and become problematic. Another thing is, okay, maybe I could put the activity markers over with the cards, but there's so much on the cards that amount of state is just already kind of overwhelming me. And then there's the opponent has to be able to see which of your units have moved and how many times. Okay, so not a lot has happened here. Actually, I'm not allowed to retreat. Ooh, that's problematic. I'm not allowed to retreat before combat because I have a viable unit still. I may just... Wow. I'll have to look at the reorg, see if I can get out of there. If I can drop a baronial off on his own during that. I don't think I can. I think, no, everything doesn't get absorbed, but I don't think I'm allowed to throw somebody out there. For the Spaniards, probably the only exciting thing that happened that I have not yet dealt with, other than this battle, is that, what's his name, De Andrade finally recovered his forces. It's been a long time that he's been struggling to do so. He's back here. Probably not able to get into things. But, you know, if like Albini leaves, he could come up here and cause some havoc up here and maybe take Basilicata. Hard to tell. So we got a battle. It is a major battle. Oh, no. Okay, I got to look things up. I got to pee. I'll be back. Like so, I could have gotten this guy out. Let's get him out so he doesn't get captured. He has like 9 movement points. Oh, these stupid fucking things. 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3.5, 4. Should I just put him in charge? Let's just leave him here. Okay. Because I don't know what I'm doing yet. He can get out of there during Saluzzo's activation, or Albini's. But Saluzzo has a couple of choices. He can go inside the fort, in which case it's a siege, in which case chances are the fort is going to be stormed. I'm going to lose because I only have 1 strength point there, which, you know, doubles to 2, but I'm facing Cordoba's army. And then these 2 will surrender. I lose Saluzzo. I lose a lot of troops. That ain't good. Or I could fight a field battle in which we're sitting in normal terrain. I will have a single baronial strength point, but when I break, The pursuit will have a chance of wiping some of these out, but chances are I get away with something. So I'm going to fight the field battle. This goes to the whole major battle situation, which feels pathetic, but it's what we're going to have to do. Get these up here. These don't even matter. I could just take them off, but and you know, we pick our chits and all that. Cordoba has Alviano with him, and you know, has all kinds of advantages on his watch. For my chit decisions, Saluzzo has taken a mustard chit and nothing else. Why does he want that? If somehow this thing survives, he can get off the field, and there might be some advantage in the pursuit table. I don't recall. By choosing to withdraw, I'm assuming that there's some advantage, but at the very least, I'll get out with more. You know, I have no chance here. Coming over to Cordoba, he has 3 commanders with him. De Leyva's picking a formation chit so that I can use the Vanguard space, which I really want. Cordoba's troops are kind of beaten up. I'm giving him the firearms chit just in case there's a cav charge. I don't really know, but he doesn't have any cav, and he doesn't have anything except his baronial that's available for battle, so it's not going to help at all. But Alviano is taking both charge and combined arms. He's taking charge because he has high quality heavy cavalry and can do a lot of damage with that. And now the attacker has to place something first. Well, I don't have to reveal anything or whatever. I'm going to place Cordoba in the main body. He's going to place Saluzzo in the main body. Alviano, I am going to place, let me give De Leyva, I don't know. Yeah, let me give De Leyva a reserve chit, because I want to keep him out of the battle. And he has 2 chits there. Okay. Bringing him along didn't really help, right? Except it gave me a place to put the formation chit, but I could have put it on Cordoba. I am going to reveal my formation chit on De Leyva, and I don't have to place him yet. I'm going to I'll place him in the rear guard, though. Okay. And then for the last thing, I'll place Alviano in the Vanguard. Then we do the Vanguard fight, and we do the cav charge. The cav charge, he's got basically nothing protecting him. I've got 2 cav quality 3 here. So 2 SP, not perfect, but the quality 3 gives me a +3. And I'm not facing any of these. I get a 7, not quite good enough. There was no way I could get hurt though, so it was worth doing. That fires that off. Now he gets to fire off his other one, which is going to be a combined Ardence attack, which is a multiplier. That's not going to really matter. He only has 1 strength point. So we look for the combat table. That strength point is quality 1. We are quality 2. So in non-affecting terrain, or are we in affecting? I'm not defending inside the fortified city, but I think I still get the affecting terrain for having it there. If I chose to be inside, yeah, I'm not sure about that. I think I've chosen to be outside the city, so it's non-affecting terrain. If I chose to be inside, I would get the affecting terrain and I would get the doubling, all of which would help. And he would have had to storm, which means he took a disruption, which would lower troop qualities, but I just assumed I was in worse shape. And I think that's right. So, where's the combat table? All right. So quality-wise, we're at +1 on non-affecting. We do not have the Cordoba leader bonus. I could have rearranged things so that Cordoba was leading the attack. I chose not to because I'm stupid. But we get 2 pluses for the SP basis, and that's it. We get a 7. We take a hit, and they're wrecked. Our hit, we'll take it on the infantry. Their hit, this goes away. That's the damage. Now I have to take a demoralization. That makes this just disappear. Where it goes. And now I have to make a quality check against the demoralized force. I believe. I'm not sure. Not sure. Let me check that. Wrong. This thing is actually still there. It can't absorb any losses. And the demoralization check doesn't happen on it. However, we have a pursuit at this point. The pursuit table, the Primo Capitino gets a +1. He has no stratiots, I think. Those are not. Okay. Movement points are not expended, so we just roll a dice at +1. We get a 4. 60% of our cav and 20% of our infantry are counted. Okay, our infantry add up to 10, so that's 2 hits. And our cav add up to 3, just 2 more. So I do 4 hits on them. I see no reason to keep additional units particularly. So those go away. And Saluzzo has to withdraw again and flee the battle. He can stop as early as this. I don't know that I want to stop that early. I'm allowed to keep retreating. I'm going to retreat back to Gonzaga and become his commander. Oop. And take over the combined force there. That means Gonzaga loses his previous attack and his maneuver order. And orders don't seem to change on a retreat. Batteries don't seem to charge when I plug them in. Which means Saluzzo is still in garrison, so he's going to be able to do his recovery at this point. But Cordoba has taken Naples, and now I check for attrition wherever it applies. Cordoba is the only attrition check I had to make. He succeeded because of his bonus star, barely. Yeah. I do have something I can do. He doesn't get his no move marker or anything like that, because it was a major battle. It's 1 baronial strength point. I do get the capability next turn of detaching someone with a garrison order with my demoralized troops, take on some of the other troops, and move forward and continue with my attack order. I could conceivably take an order for free and get rid of the previous attack, but I think I'm in a hurry to try to take territory. That is the end of the turn and puts us in November 2, and I'm done. It's kind of weird, my sleep situation, because I actually slept, I think, 7 hours straight. Something like that. I don't know if it was that long. But I slept for a significant amount of time And now I'm kind of awake in a way that like doesn't feel right at this hour of the day, especially since I'm working on, it's Thursday. Tomorrow's dance night. And, I missed last week. I'm not getting a ride home this week. I would have gotten one last week. But I mean, some of me is just like, you really should. I'm also debating like going out and taxing myself with the damn the wood again, but I don't know. I just don't want to fucking face it. All right. So we may be up again in not too long. At least I have food. Second November turn, we get the mud. The mud means not that other territory gets hit. Rain would be needed for that. But it does cause a +1 on the attrition checks. Let's do a quick victory check to see where we're at in terms of stuff. Because, well, we'll do a count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Because Naples has switched hands. 6, 7, 8, 9. No, I'm counting badly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 7, 6. So the French are up 4 right now. Which, if that's all that happened, if it stayed that way, we would be looking at a French standard victory without Naples having any effect. It looks to me like it's likely, well, first of all, body has switched hands, hasn't it? Yeah, body switched hands. We should have flipped this. So that puts it two more in favor. So it's at like +7, something like that. 6, 7, I don't know much. It looks possible that Otranto will switch hands. It looks possible, very likely, that Chit will switch hands, but I just don't see a way that the Spanish can turn this around, right? But we'll keep going with the best we can. This is not a turn where commands are forced to be removed. So if we take a look at the French, we can kind of say, hey, we're pretty happy with what we're doing right now. Aggressor is getting far enough away from the Spanish command baronials that we may be able to gain some ground. This guy, he might be able to take Taranto. We might be able to swing things because now we own body, and that makes it harder. But the problem is we don't have enough troops to cover it. And we kind of have to cover things like this here as well. And so there's some chance we could lose body if we try too hard on Otranto. I think we're better off just kind of holding with the French there as much as we can. This will probably go Spanish. This might go Spanish, but it's just still not going to be enough points, even if I get sort of the best of results that I can see going forward. For the Spaniards, what do we got? Well, we got an attack order under Cordoba. I can keep that, swing things around, hold Naples, can detach, leave one of these guys to hold Naples, detach another force to try to do something else, and maybe we get super lucky and are able to take this. But it's a big 8, and right now we're holding 2. That's it, because whatever we had before we've lost, but we're just, I don't know. I mean, part of me feels like I should just call it here, right? But I also like to finish scenarios. And we'll see the pain that the Spanish have trying to drive harder. Yeah, not a lot happening on the French side, nor on the Spanish side. I noticed I forgot to move Benavides. Fuck him. He can try again. He did the activation for that. I just don't see pushing things too much. Like, there's stuff I could do. Like Prospero Colonna has a baronial unit. He could release that or move on his own. Moving on his own would be a bad idea. But he could release that, but it really can't do much. So I don't have a lot of units that are loose and free to activate. I could move out of something like this, but then that just becomes this little stupid shell game or whack-a-mole type game that I don't want to get into. Let it sit as it is. I'm not going to try to ooze, you know, an extra victory point by doing that kind of stuff, because I might get lucky, right? Simply because I pick a maneuver order and he doesn't, or whatever. The French have less of the baronials active. The game is decided. It's just a question of what sort of happens, and let's focus on the major stuff instead. So yeah, the Spaniards are pretty much sticking with their same actions as well. Big difference. Cordoba split Alviano off with all the damaged forces to garrison orders so that they can recover. That means I have to do something, and De Leyva is loose in case I want to move him somewhere. This situation is kind of interesting because it means that I can't activate or risk activating Cordoba until Alviano, because I don't want someone to run in and, you know, force me to withdraw from Naples. It's my big gain in the game as the Spaniards. I got Naples. Look at the baronials moving into a town to protect it, and also near this roadway just in case. That might help. I don't know. Spaniards moving towards this. That'll give them control of Principato Chitra. Looking around for other movements. Some Spaniards or pro-Spanish units moving up along here trying to protect Otranto. This one also sliding into that direction. Can grab this. Hasn't gotten it yet. We shifted the French to the city because it's worth 2 points instead of 1, gives us a little bit of an edge. That's about that. And on to the commanders. Do some thinking about picking commanders. I'm going to take Alviano for the Spaniards because I want to get him first. That opens up Cordoba to start rolling and having his influence, whatever that may be. For the French, here's the question. Do I want to go first or not? I'm worried about Alegre getting canceled out by Cordoba, so I think I won't. I'll go with Gonzaga, whom I really want to recover his unit as well. I'm probably I would lose if I was going against Cordoba, but now it's just a die roll. The French get the advantage. I want Gonzaga going first, actually. And I see, hey, you're activating Alviano. What's up with that? Okay. Yeah. I would have actually had to choose the French first. So the Spanish actually had an eye to what they could do, but I think they wanted to do what they did. Have the opportunity, I could spend wages, 2 AP, for a better chance of Saluzzo's units recovering. It's an S unit. I think it's worth it, just because I have more APs than I know what to do with. But that's not an option you usually have, and I roll well, so we get that. I'm not going to do everybody, but I'm in quarters, which is some risk. And I think knowable to the enemy. Again, I'm not sure where the marker should be. If we look in the winter quarters, you declare the unit in quarters. That feels like you're letting the opponent know. So that makes this an appealing attack, actually, because the effects of it is the quality is reduced by 1, which is of some help. Interesting. Albini also went first because I don't want Alviano going. But that means the French have to pick Allegre, and that puts things in an interesting place. The French forces that are near Cordoba have gone, so I might as well throw Cordoba in at this point. And Cordoba has an initiative at -1, Allegre's at -1. Cordoba wins it. I'm going to force Allegre to go, because this is about as bad a roll as I can get. It pushes down towards Lucca, or Lecce. I didn't remember, the mud gives me a -1 to my movement allowances. So I think movement allowance is not initiative. It doesn't matter in these cases, but maybe in any case. Let me take a look at that. It would actually, because, so I had a -1 also for my initiative roll. I mean, I didn't have enough movement to swing up here and take Taranto, so I'm heading down that way. Let me just check, make sure which way. Subtract 1 from the movement allowance, yeah, which is, you know, it doesn't work out exactly the same. If it had been initiative, then you would still only have a -3 possible. In this case, it would be the same. But yeah, I feel like the Spanish are going to have a harder time getting to here. And this, I might be able to activate, get an extra point in this direction. We're not far from being able to take Otranto. That's the thing. A random side note, my neighbor, well, left, or someone left in his car, either him or his wife. But he, the smoker's gone, and it's only been a couple hours since he pulled it out. I thought those things took like 4 to 6 hours to work, you know, on like a hunk of meat or whatever. May have had something small that he needed to smoke, but it just seems really weird to me. Like, I don't know. Anyway, I had to light my pipe, and now I'm kind of lost as to where I am. I guess I'm on the Spaniards get to take all their turns. Let's take a look at what we've got that's new. Benavides. I shifted him down. Now, the problem is he doesn't have enough strength points to take either of these easily. So I'm just sending him as reinforcements to the Naples area, whatever. Fabrizio here not doing anything. Navarro, with his artillery, could have made it into Naples, but Alviano is full. Navarro only doesn't have room for all of Alviano's forces, so I couldn't move into that space. We did not recover our forces. We got a bad roll, which is problematic. Saluzzo did recover. I don't know if I mentioned that he succeeded. And Cordoba had enough. He could have gone and, you know, built earthworks and started sieging Saluzzo's force, which might be a good idea because it's big and it would force it to take attrition. But instead I took this. I grabbed De Leyva and brought him with me. And see, the thing is, I have 2 4 points right now. There's 5, 6, 7 here, an 8th there, another one up there, whatever. I only need 8. if I unleash my cav under Deleva, he might be able to march up here and take these. And that'll get me a lot of the points. I still need one more to swing the province. And then there's also the possibility of taking this province. So we could end up gaining a province on the French, breaking even, losing a province to the French. It's hard to tell which way that's going to go. Anyway, it's attrition time. Put out my quarters markers early. Remember, I was kind of being slipshod about them anyway, where I was like, oh, you don't need them where you don't need them. I decided I wanted to put them where they would be necessary. So anybody who was kind of frozen in place and in enemy territory, I did place quarters on at this point, just as a reminder. You know, so like the Spanish have lost body. They had to place quarters counters on stuff. There was only one attrition loss, which was off Navarro. He lost the baronial unit he had with him. So now he's got one strength point of guns, and that's it. But, you know, I don't really have a safe place to put him. If I do undertake a siege, so it would be great to put him in Naples. And in a sense, you might argue, hey, Deleva should have stayed behind with Alviano as an unemployed leader, because he could lead one of those away so that Navarro can join his artillery. I don't know yet. But yeah, there we're at the end of that. We got 2 turns to go. I don't expect a hell of a lot, just some maneuvering and jockeying, to be honest. I don't expect another real combat. The second last turn, December. This is an economic turn, but one where you don't get any economy. So the Spanish, you know. But fortune smiles on them a little bit. The weather's fair, which is only a 1 in 6 chance. Which will help, I guess. But they still have to face discipline checks if they want to activate anything. All right, let me try to figure out who's doing what and why. The thing I came up with is Allegre here. And I don't know where he was when he took his orders last time. I may have cheated. But he's actually not in command control anymore. I look and I think, ooh, yeah, I don't own these. So I can get back to here, but I can't get through where Minor Captain A is. Which means I have to do a discipline check with sensitive troops to force a maneuver order on him. That's okay. I'm not expecting to fight. And sensitive troops are fine. Like, I get my order. But I am demoralized. The weather's fine, so I don't get anything bad. I am demoralized. But I'm not facing any opponents. I'm just grabbing territory. So, we okay. Take a look at the massive Spanish forces. De Andrade gets a maneuver order coming out of here. Probably not going to do anything. He might be able to get an attack order and maybe take one of these next turn, but it's not enough to take Basilicata. Benavides succeeds in getting a maneuver order as well. Navarro, he's got a demoralized force. It's too risky. I gave him a retreat order. He could fall into Naples. That would be great, right? Except it's still overpopulated. And Colonna, I'm sorry, who's there? Alviano. His forces are demoralized, so he has to stay in garrison to try to recover them. I guess the exciting one is Cordoba. He dispatches a cav to Deleva to run down here and take stuff. Takes a maneuver order himself, which, partial success. He ends up, I only rolled for Cordoba as the Gran Capitan, but he can spawn Deleva out with a command, which is a big deal. So Deleva's going to have a maneuver order I think I did that right. Otherwise, I'd have to roll for them separately. He can spawn De Leyva out with a maneuver order. But Cordoba himself, so if we count, we have 2. I don't think there's anything here. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We need 1 more, so we can move into like here and just back and end up in control of everything. I could even leave a minor Capitani in one of the locations, which would allow me to, leave a garrison. And so Terra de Lavoro is going to fall. Principato Citra, probably going to fall. I only need 1 more thing to take. Benevente then can move his way down. I guess that's about it. Colonna got a maneuver order, but he demoralized himself. Great. But he can get this. So yeah, I think we're going to take those 2 areas. It's still not enough to win us the game. Do a quick recount. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Minus 3 goes to 6. 2 areas fall. That brings it to 4. 4 in favor of France is a French full victory, standard victory. So even if Otranto does not fall, the French are still going to win the game. But I figure at least play out this turn, see that switch over. I don't see any value to the January turn at this moment, but whatever. And it would be nice to get this loaded up. The Baronials, this guy couldn't have made it here except on a roll of a 1. And he got a 2, which is pretty good, but not good enough. We got a weird little race going on down here with the French running down, grabbing Taranto and this, but the Spaniards slipped in after him to grab Taranto back. So I don't think Otranto is going to fall. Let's do a quick count to see. And something in body went over. Is that enough? I doubt it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I need 2 more. And, again, I could have played little games with these guys. The Spaniards have more. They might have been able to take it back. But again, it's not going to make much difference to anything. Let's take a look at Otranto here. We're looking at, for the French, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 8. If I get a good roll on a Allegre, I can take it. Chances are I can take it by the end of the game. There is another month going, so yeah, maybe we do have to play it out just to see what the final score is. And now we're on the commanders. I'm just kind of curious whether the Spaniards take anything. But, the longer I delay, next turn, sure, they get this. They won't get it this turn. But next turn, Otranto probably falls. So I kind of am feeling like I should just call it here. But we'll finish this turn. The decision to keep playing a little bit, I mean, it really doesn't matter one way or another, right? I could be downstairs sitting there playing Raid, probably, I don't know, or whatever, or watching videos, neither of which I view as productive in any way, but I don't really view this as productive in any way either. In any case, all of them kind of numb the pain of existing. Quick thought to the selection of your sort of champion commander that you're going to roll for. I'm going to take Albini as the French. Allegre, well, he could get boned by Cordoba, Now, I go over to I look at it where Albini is, and I'm like, he's not going to do shit. So I want to put something against him that's not going to do shit as well. So I'll pick one of my garrisons, probably somebody who's recovering units. Now, the French lost both die rolls, boom, boom, and have to activate Allegre. And now it's time to pull out my Cordoba and try to make it sure that Allegre doesn't get a good movement. Cordoba will probably get the movement he wants no matter what. He will. But I get a terrible one for the French and force them to move. That's going to be -3 to his movement, which is only 4. So he can move into here, and that's it. He could, no, that's all he can do. For running the French off the table, De Leyva gets a really awesome roll, is able to bounce his way all the way back. I think he must have gotten like a 1 or whatever. But he has Cav, so it has like, even though it's demoralized, 8 movement points base, get an extra movement point. Even paying for the conquest points, I'm able to get there. And then Cordoba gets a decent roll, which he almost always will, and drops a minor Capitani off there. I don't know if that's wise. I don't think it is. I think I'd be better off keeping him with me and just putting a control marker down there, because instead of ditching him, yes, I can ditch him, and you know, there's a recovery opportunity if I ditch him, but it doesn't really help. And splitting your forces up is terrible, I'm beginning to learn, because it eats up your command points. Although when you're just grabbing territory and not having to fight at all, pushing your troops isn't necessarily that bad. They just have to find a place to recover before they get too close to the enemy. Is that Spanish minor, so Fabrizio Colonna could go here. I kind of cheated, said he had a garrison command already. Could have had that for free, right? And did a recovery, which succeeded. But the important thing is I took this location with, again, with Cav. I guess let's look at the Spaniards, or whatever else happened. Alviano, I believe, succeeded in recovering his forces. Not that it matters much. This Colonna. Navarro, he has gotten together with that minor Capitan that I put in place briefly. So he's now here. And this thing, which I put in for a very brief period of time, is gone. Benavides made his way down. He only moved 1 hex, but De Andre managed to shoot up to here. Still nowhere near where I need to be to launch any kind of attack and try to take Basilicata. So I'll just keep my free maneuver, I guess. I do need that quarters, I think. I don't know. I don't really care either way. That looks like everything of any significance. So, it's the end of another turn. Let's call it here. I mean, you know, we saw the key thing. This flips over. There is some chance Otranto will, but this is a pretty major French victory. There's some chance that will. This almost certainly will. If it hasn't, I've got Salerno, 1, 2. I got 2. Yeah, this almost certainly will. But it's still going to be the substantial victory. There's not going to be any kind of fight of any importance on this next turn. So, what did we learn on this one? Well, this scenario, unfortunately, again, feels like the historical victor had a task which was just too hard for me, at least. Now, again, made some rules errors, but this time I think they were less likely to have impacted the outcome. The biggest thing that I did that might have was that bold stroke by Cordoba, where he basically destroyed Namor's main army, but then didn't have the points to go forward. I think had I continued with that boldness and pushed forward, the Spaniards could have gotten a result similar to the historical. I'm a lot more unconvinced that if I had not taken that and had played more historically, staying here, keeping my center of communications, my supplies nearby, that I would have been able to gain the territory quickly enough. But the thing is, I feel like the game essentially really kind of dissuades you from pushing your forces. The discipline table's not bad when you're not facing opponents, though. But baronials are opponents, too. You can't, there were enough baronials in the way that Cordoba couldn't just plow up there, ignoring the fact that he was getting discipline checks. But they're less painful than I thought they would be. And I think that's one of the things I'm learning is that, look, if you have the advantage, push your troops, the hell with them, if they get demoralized, it's not a terrible thing. You take a turn, throw them in, probably 2 turns, throw them in garrison and just, wait it out. I was a lot more fearful of that, a lot more fearful of attrition checks, etc. And I just don't think I pushed hard enough. It's a lot easier to be the defensive player in this game, in whatever circumstances put you in that. At the beginning of this scenario, the French had, I would say, the defensive advantage, although they were kind of on the offensive right at the beginning, pushing into Spanish territory, because they thought they had the edge on Cordoba. Well, turns out they didn't. He's good. We got to see a couple of major battles, tiny ones that just didn't feel all that major, that felt completely predetermined when I hit them. The really key battle was a siege, where as soon as we got a breach result, we went in. And had we not gotten that breach result that early, I think Cordoba would have been in a shitload of hurt. So I think one of the problems is just not being aware enough of the scenario to realize what a point problem the Spaniards had, and then to come up with some kind of strategy to deal with that. I played it shooting from the hip, and I don't feel like this system lets you get away with that. It did with the French, but again, as the attacker, I think you really have to kind of not only understand the rules of the system, but also have a mindset to push things harder than my mindset allows for, basically. My personality is one of not taking losses that I shouldn't take, and stuff like that, and conserving my forces. And, this felt kind of like an ASL type or a squad leader scenario, or Panzer Blitz or something like that, in the sense of yeah, I really have to go for my victory conditions. I can't just, sort of play it as I would as a commander. The Spaniards, though, especially, they have a very reduced number of action points. I mean, look, the French have a ton and very few troops, but the Spaniards have very few and just a huge number of commanders that you can't really, coordinate attacks across multiple areas with them. And since the French have more territories, they're going to gather up baronials if you don't take the territory relatively quickly. And you're not supposed to take it quickly. Cordoba is supposed to drag his feet, at least for, you know, the first few months of the campaign. It's weird. I feel disappointed in terms of just not sort of grasping what I should do, right? But yeah, it goes so against my grain to either push as hard as I should have after I took that bold stroke and won, or to realize this sort of, yeah, I can't really do anything. Let me stockpile points so that for the part of the game where I do have the edge, I can take advantage of that. I did have the edge at the point when I made my strike. It's just the points, I didn't have the points to have the edge for real. Anyway, that's this one. We got another one coming. I don't know if I'm going to play that other one right away. Yeah, probably, because I'm getting nowhere in my rolls. You know, again, I watch videos so damn much and play Raid and whatnot, but it's not the playing Raid. I could be reading while I'm playing Raid instead of watching videos, but I watch a constant stream of news and then also history, and I'm watching a comedy show right now, and just there's so much shit on YouTube that, like, and it's so easy, right? You know, back when TV existed, I had a hard time finding things I wanted to see. Yeah. But when with the interwebs, there's just so much interest. You know, it's not like I'm trying to get necessarily a great deal of information about some of these things, like, well, with the news, obviously, that's breaking and whatnot. But, like, you know, with history stuff, it's more a matter of I'm kind of intrigued, first of all, to pick up little tidbits that I haven't run into before, or that have slipped my brain, but also kind of just hearing different takes on things is kind of neat. And, you know, I can be more discriminating in a lot of ways. There's people who are doing stuff that, like, I consider really, really, like, very interesting. Like, I don't remember who it is, Scholastic Gladius or something like that, who is, you know, talking to a subject matter which is effectiveness of different weaponry, mainly swords, but he also goes into other medieval and ancient weaponry, well, mainly medieval, and you know, how it works against different armors and stuff, by adding into it something that didn't exist when I was kind of trying to research this by reading, which is the analysis being done by people, including himself, who are like actually fighting with the weapons in armor, you know, or testing it against different armor types and whatnot, and trying to see things. And largely, my kind of assumptions have held out about it, but those weren't always expressed in other research in the time when I was looking at it. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. And it's like, I kind of don't really care now. You know, like at the time I was really interested because I wanted to create, you know, games that related it. Anyway, up this goes, I guess. And see, the thing is, I really don't feel like playing another one right away. But again, I don't have anything else prepped yet.